And welcome to Anonymous Bites Back, episode 106. Sorry about not having a show yesterday. Some things came up with my personal life. But good news. We did get our YouTube channel back. We are live streaming on YouTube until we get another ban. And that, knowing that might be sooner than later.
That might be in a few hours, yeah.
So we're good. We're back on YouTube. If you look on the description of the video on Facebook and on VK, I don't. My Russian's not very good, so I don't have a translator. But if you can kind of understand what I'm saying on VK, you can look at us. You can view us on any other streaming platform that's in the video description.
Russian viewers. Здравствуйте, как дела?
Yeah, we have some Russian viewers. So
I speak.
Go ahead.
You need and if we do need some translations, or if there's something we're getting into, but a lot of the technical words are exactly the same.
Yeah. Like I like my Russian. Like I only know like 3 words. Like it's not that good.
Russian. That dude that speaks Russian, they immediately are like, "What? You speak Russian? Yes."
I think there was a lot of things that happened in the 2 weeks we didn't have a show, but the main, there was I don't know if our Facebook viewers have been watching. We've been actively doing a delete Facebook now campaign. Yes, it's kind of controversial because we're streaming on Facebook, but
scared to use your enemy's weapon.
Yes, I mean this. We're gonna keep. We will keep this as long. Until they get rid of it. Honestly, we have bigger platforms that we stream onto. There was, what's going on with Facebook. Was very controversial. I am seeing a polarized view of what happened with Mark Zuckerberg for the 10 hours he was being questioned by Congress. I do see a polarized version of them making the first of them showing the first day when Mark Zuckerberg was being interrogated by the people who weren't really doing a lot of technical, besides Ted Cruz on the first day, but not a lot of tough questions that were being asked to Zuck compared to the second day. And I have a feeling that people that are polarizing the view of what happened out of those questioning are people that have investments into Facebook, but a lot of people, specifically, a lot of investor pages, a lot of technical news sources, are really showing the nit and grit of what Mark Zuckerberg did not tell you. Like Mark Zuckerberg avoiding questions on its data practice, avoiding on whether it will or will not change its data practices, saying false statements. Technically, what he said was false on a lot of things. I mean, for example, when Mark Zuckerberg said in front of Congress, when you have the right to, you basically own your data, which is a technical fallacy. It's if you owned your data and Mark Zuckerberg's making money off the data, why aren't you making money off of his data or off of your own data? That was pointed out in Congress. Another fallacy that he said was that when you delete your Facebook profile, it's gone. And anybody knows when you delete something, it's not gone. Like that's like Hillary Clinton fucking retarded. Like I'm sorry, dude. Like when you delete something,
she knows you the apple.
Yeah. When you delete something, it's not gone. It's technically still there. The placeholder is there. Facebook doesn't nuke out the placeholder. They still keep it. Like and this has been done by example of when we nuked one of my profiles and I was still getting updates from the profile using an alternative one on one that was completely disabled, completely deleted, gone, shouldn't be there, right? And I'm still getting updates for it. It's still there. It's a placeholder. If anybody understands how filing system works or how an actual computer hard drive. Facebook is not going over and abound to delete your precious data.
Well, and questions, but then didn't really ask any of the questions that would have been extremely easy to answer, right? So out of the what is the data that you hold on to, and how do you use it,
Yeah,
right?
he
That
avoided
that
all those
that's
questions.
like
Yeah, for sure.
it wasn't it wasn't asked directly like that. How much data are you holding on to on your servers? This is not something that's an unknown number. This is extremely easy to find out, and you should be able to get in the ballpark of, a couple 100,000, right? As the head of Facebook. And what are you using that data for? That should not be a difficult question. That's literally your business strategy. And yet none of these senators really asked it directly like that, and then we're happy to move on. Um, it's I would like to know right away, before we even get into it, which senators took what money from Facebook.
I was
You
kind
know,
of questioning that myself because there was a few of the old fuckers, the old farts that were in there for the first 2 hours on the first day. They were bringing up their Facebook profiles, and I was like, man, like, and that they were fans of Facebook, and they weren't asking tough questions, and they said they were. I think that they were the people that he talked to before the congressional hearing, and I was like,
80,
yeah, he.
85% of the Congress people there had taken money. There's a list out of all the people that were there that took, well, that had money given to them, and a lot of it was in small amounts, a few thousand, 5,000. Some got 10, but yeah, he spreads it out to all of them
yeah, and what we
everywhere.
for is that these guys aren't like that. If they'll take $1,000 to change FCC rules, to do whatever, it doesn't always take for these guys to be bribed.
That's right. It really doesn't take that much. If you've got billions, you can get things done easy. That's like
Whatever.
penny.
Pipeline through your backyard, send our mercenaries to shoot your ass, right? You give them $1 million, they'll undermine an entire fucking country.
Yeah.
Like George Soros.
Yeah, exactly. I'll undermine, you know what I mean? I will stop everybody that I can and undermine the entire English pound, right? I will sink an entire generation of people in a heartbeat for $1 million.
There was that one lady who reminded me of like an annoying soccer mom. I don't know what senator it was, but she was really hounding Zuckerberg during her 5 minutes of questioning, and she was asking him like yes or no, yes or no. Are you doing cross site? Are you doing cross? She didn't say cross site tracking, but she was more or less talking about um, some of the, I can't remember the actual specifics, but she was asking him about certain data practicing, whether he was or he wasn't doing it, and Zuckerberg just kind of like was giving her this retarded answer, like I don't understand the question, and
He did pull the
yeah.
what's going on over and over again. A week before that, the most powerful social media, company in the world. You're getting awards from all these places for innovation and all of that. And then when it comes to Congress, you're a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, like
Know how
yeah, he played he
works.
yeah, he played the I'm like a deer in headlights thing, like I'm sorry, and he reiterated what he was going. He reiterated Facebook's model. Like he said the same shit over and over again to try and divert what he was doing. But one thing he could not do, which I think Dianne Feinstein asked him about, was the FTC violation that they got in 2011, and this might be the second, because they said that they would not. They don't violate people. They don't. FTC doesn't fine for the first violation, but the second one they will. And I think that is a direct threat, and I think that they will. I know that they're doing an investigation right now. The FTC is on Facebook, but if the FTC finds that this is a violation, this is another violation. So what's like 87 million times 40,000? So you're talking a lot of like more money than I don't even know what to do with. Like that's pretty.
It's just
Yeah.
it's like off millions and millions and millions of users' personal information. Okay, don't do it again or we'll fine you. You know, it makes absolutely no sense. Like that's not even a slap on the wrist. That's not even a slap on the wrist. That's, you know what I mean? That's okay, guys. Carry on. You know, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Nothing to see here. Yeah, if you do it again, we might fine you. Like imagine
Yeah,
if you had.
that's how it is with the politicians. It's always next time. We're going to do something for next time. We're not going to do shit right now when all this is, going to hell. But we'll talk about next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With Microsoft, like it does look a lot like the investigation of Microsoft. And you look at the end, that was all dropped. You know, he hasn't paid the fines. He hasn't none of that happened.
Well, nobody in Congress knows anything about technology, anyways. I mean, they know how to turn something on. Maybe they might know how to slide a disc. But they don't know that stuff like some of us do. They don't know how to read that code. They don't algorithm.
No, and yet they'll sit on the science and technology, boards and meetings and everything, and yet know absolutely nothing. But that's something that we see in our government over and over again. So the people that are making decisions about stem cell research are not doctors, right? The people that are making decisions about climate change know nothing. Climate change, know nothing about science, know nothing about anything other than how to best take bribes and make systems to take bribes from corporations. And anytime they are outside of that that scope, they don't have any of the tools to do it. You don't understand computers. You only know how to sign legislation that someone else has written for you.
Well, they could bring in their own government people. You wouldn't even have to go outside. You have your own government people that should know computer systems that could be there asking questions and really make an ass out of
Well,
them.
you think Congress people would have their go-to IT guy, like, hey man, can you explain this to me in like a couple of hours, dude, so I can do some really good questions.
Like I think they did. Zuckerberg was one of those people, and now he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
He's just a front man, like a singer to a band.
Yeah, and I mean that was people like I don't know what is going to come of this, because besides the stock dropping, which I'm almost my personal opinion is that they're it's just a way to buy and sell stock at a lower price. They have no intention of it sinking the company, but when you want your buddies to be able to make a shitload of money, you have to drop the price of the stock. There's no other way to do it.
That's true.
Because these corporations they do get slaps on the wrist, and another warning. Oh well, if you poison another 300 million acres, we totally will fine. Or then the fines. When you look at like oil pipelines, right? The fines for drilling without a permit are $50 a day. They don't care. They work that into their profit margin.
Yeah, he wasn't sworn in for any of this, so he could lie to you, which he did, as you know, and it's not gonna. It'll never hurt him.
Yeah, he can't go to jail. That's.
It's not bothering him at all. He's got people behind him telling him what to say.
Oh, and whatever they're really upset about them selling your information to this to this other company, but not upset about them giving it away to the NSA, to the CIA, to
Your social worker, yeah.
Or not including the FBI task force, where the FBI has an agreement. So do some of the police departments have an agreement with Facebook to have fake profiles for their sting operations.
Yeah, so I mean, those are questions that they don't. It wasn't asked, it wasn't acknowledged. It's there. Every person knows this at this point, or should know this at this point, but yet we're not supposed to be upset about that. Just that you sold it to this to this second, to this other company. that's travesty. But if you give all of my information to a government agency with no warrant, no reason to watch me, no anything, that it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, you're supposed to go along with that. In the new communist state, you're state driven. Of course, you go along with what the state tells you to do.
Like that's the not and even the communist, like the actual communist countries that I've lived in, right, do not push out the amount of propaganda that the U.S. does. It's insane.
Oh no, yeah, we're masters. Yeah.
Because we do go to the look at this communist country, that communist country. I've been to these communist countries, and we are by far more authoritarian than they are.
I thought Vietnam and like China would be pretty bad, but probably not, right?
Vietnam for almost 3 years. It was amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty advanced. Yeah, really. I mean, they're.
Yeah, and it was like there was a whole like underlying thing where like in the States you have to have these status symbols. You gotta have a big car, you gotta have a big house, you got a big whatever. And in communist countries that I've been into, it was the exact opposite. If you're the guy that's cruising around in a big car, you're the guy that's got this giant house, people immediately start questioning. You know what I mean? Your motives. Like, okay, why do you need that big car? Why aren't you driving a scooter like the rest of us? Right? Like that mindset didn't, like, the bigger stuff that you can prove you have didn't exist to them.
Yeah.
Which is cool to see. The capitalist driven, I need to sell you shit idea just did not catch on. And land was like a big argument when I was there, and I'd have to look into it and see how the valley ended up going in the end. So they had a farmer that came in, and he changed this place that was like a wasteland into one of the biggest producers of rice in Vietnam. And they're like rent the land. The state owns everything, right? Owns all of the land, and you lease it from them. Well, the lease was up, and the government wanted to come in and, take it for the state. And the people there were not having it. And if I'm not mistaken, they renewed the lease and, let them keep it. That's not the case in the States, right? If they want to build something in your backyard, if they want to take something from you, they will take it.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of the case, I was going to say.
Like like all the government. All the land, but eminent domain is used all the time.
Yeah, they suffer no consequences. There's been some big areas where they've come in and said they're going to like take out a golf course and put in all these expensive homes, and they're going to create all this money for the tax base, and then it all falls through and they fuck it all up. But then there's no repercussions. It's like, well, now we don't even have the golf course or anything that we had, and nobody gets in trouble. It's just.
Because the government's always in the right?
Yeah, they made a decision, and it was a screwed up decision. Yeah, but there's no consequences for it. Good, bad. Of course they'll take credit for a good one, but a bad one, well, it just that one goes down.
It was somebody else's fault. Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't get to hear about we don't they don't really take credit for the good ones. Like, what is that credit? So you made your billionaire buddies a bunch of money. Right, like that's not broadcast. It's just now that people are like, hey, I want to see the books. Right? Before you know what I mean? You didn't really get to, they just ended up rich, which is why people are so like shocked when they see, wait, you took how many million from this company? Is why you kicked me and my family out of our house and bulldozed our family home?
Yeah.
Well, so me and these two guys can make a couple of $1 billion, right? I don't, sometimes they own pieces in the construction company, and other times they just take their bribe and they're happy with it.
Yeah. You there?
So yeah,
Hello.
I don't know how far, what the difference is between that and communism.
Well, it's like you look at China or even probably Vietnam. They're not true. They've morphed from the way they started as communism to what they are now, which is essentially a even more authoritarian, like fascist arm. very corporate. The generals run all these Chinese corporations. I mean, it's not communism.
No, not in any way, shape, or form. So I mean, Chinese communism is this mix between it's what the U.S. would love.
Yeah,
right?
that's what they. Yeah.
Yeah,
You work
it's like
without
yeah.
and me and my general buddies make the money, which is pretty much like maybe that's why we're so mad at them.
They're doing it better than our guys. They're pissed off because they're not making as much money as the Chinese generals.
Oh yeah, this company came in. Just like here, this company came in, spent a couple $1 million, and may have swayed the U.S. election. Fuck, they would have loved to have come in, bought a bunch of information, and swayed the American public. That was what they wanted to do. Like, that's why they're so pissed about it. A couple of Russians with $100,000 and 6 computers undermined your entire
I know that's so like what they're making all that shit out to be. It's like.
Comical.
Really, yeah, it's comical. It's like man, it's like I hope you're I don't know, that just it seems skewed because it is. It doesn't seem very realistic, a lot of the shit that's being said about that whole Russiagate shit.
Well, and you can't ask certain questions, right? So you can say, oh, well, the Russian hackers were involved, blah 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 blah. So when you ask, like, okay, well, then what did they do? Well, they made a bunch of memes that were specific to certain groups. Well, what did those memes say? Well, they called Hillary Clinton a liar. Well, she is a liar. Oh, well, they called Donald Trump, you know what I mean, sexist, you know what I mean, self-centered prick. Well, he is a pompous self-centered prick. None of the things that they were spreading are false.
That's very true.
It's just another double standard is all it is. Yeah, it was fine for Hillary and Obama to do. Trump went and done it, and it brought all this out with Facebook. And even then it was coming out with Facebook, how they were programming people with likes and hearts.
As we're talking about Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan, all of that stuff, there is all this outrage behind Trump and I'm just as outraged. I in no way, in shape, or form want to go to war at all. That time is over, right? But there wasn't this outrage when Obama was doing it, and there should have been.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, Obama tend to push everything under the rug, He's like, hey.
Yeah, but those were not pushed under the rug. The torture that's going on at torture facilities is not swept under, and those are well within your and grasp to do with even executive orders. You know what I mean? The congressman that was going to stand up against you for torture facilities. If you came out and said, "Look, this is the new torture policy. America does not torture. Period. Under any way, shape, or form. It's not the way that a civilized society handles things, and it doesn't work." Right? There is no senator.
I believe that there's also under the torture agreement that would also fall into. Remember about 100. There was a law. There was a bunch of laws regarding wars, and they were made about 120 years ago. They were agreed from all the nations, and I believe that falls under some of those laws fall under that category where you can't build weapons that can hurt, not kill. I think that falls, torture falls into one of those categories.
We have some pretty strict laws on what torture is, but we also have legislators that are great wordsmiths, right? And we weren't. What we were doing to you wasn't torturing you; it was enhanced interrogation, which is
torture.
You changed the word out to make it sound better.
Yeah, they just changed the word for a minute, and that's why you have someone hanging upside down, waterboarding them for days, weeks, years on end to get.
Instead of torturing, why not just get them high? When you get somebody pretty damn high, they'll tell you anything.
Or drunk, yeah.
Right now,
pull up the Jaeger and rum and let's chat.
I will get any terrorist to tell me anything I want to know.
Well, the reviews, of all that weren't very good. It's like they did all these things, and it's like they really didn't get anything big out of it.
None.
That they didn't already know.
They got absolutely nothing.
Facebook could have told them.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was they're torturing people for information that they already know. Look, every ISIS terrorist on the planet has a fucking cell phone. You can track my location, Brock, 24/7, but you can't find a group of 1,000 fucking terrorists in one spot with IP addresses connecting to the internet and live streaming? Bullshit.
Yeah, they can't confirm nor deny that.
Yeah, look, I don't even have access to NSA supercomputers, and I can find them. Anonymous has done more to expose fucking ISIS threats than the government has. Shit, like Osama bin Laden had a fucking mailbox
In a cave.
Did he have a P.O. box at the cave?
Like a real deal mailbox. The fucking Osamas. You couldn't find. You're telling me you can read a pack of cigarettes. You couldn't find a 7-foot tall Arab on dialysis in the middle of the desert. I don't believe you.
Man, I seriously,
You stick out like a sore thumb.
I seriously believe, when his brother said, his brother sent out an email that he was going to his Bin Laden's funeral back in 2004. Like, call me conspiracy nut, but like, I think he was dead a long time before they made up this fucking bullshit that they killed him in some they found him in Pakistan in a retirement community and buried his body in the Antarctica. Like, I think he was dead for a long time, dude. Like,
to be honest,
he had cancer, from what I understand.
Yeah, he was on kidney dialysis, living in the middle of the desert. Yeah.
Yeah, like chances are now he's dead of natural causes anyway.
Yeah.
But Bin Laden did his job. Look, the Osama bin Laden, there is no question that Osama bin Laden during the 80s, right, when they Mujahideen worked with the CIA. That is not a secret, right?
Yeah, we were giving them surface to air missiles and all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and, 40 years later, when you're an old man, they needed to use you as an excuse again, and you did your job.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't really buying that story that a guy in a cave was directing all this global activity, and somehow, the military wasn't on top of it for some reason.
You know what's kind of scary is that I think the guys on top knew all this, but they were making the generals and the people who do the tactical operations. They were telling them that, this is an air vent, and beneath that cave there's a bunch of there's Alibaba and his 1,000 thieves. Like that's how it works. So have you seen the schematics of the diagrams of where they thought Osama bin Laden was, and it turns out to be nothing but a fucking stash cave for ammo?
Yeah, and I mean, I do know from personal experience, like as our listeners know, I'm ex-Air Force. So I mean, I do know from personal experience that they don't inform the generals of what their plans are. They use them as tools just like us. And, I've been sitting in rooms with people that, have their heads in their hand. How do we, win this? How do we fix this? How do we, help the Iraqi people? How do we rebuild, schools, churches, schools and mosques, and give these people the leg up that they need, and being told no, right? That is not our mission here.
Yeah, I've heard that so much.
With okay, look, we are not going to win this by killing more Iraqis, right? How do we help people that we were, the people that all signed up in this room signed up to help the Iraqi people? How do we do that? That is not our goal. Our goal is to make Halliburton money. I need you to set up fobs, right? I need those fobs to cost as much as possible.
It's like $500,000 or something for a 550 megaton bomb. It's so stupid.
So, that's what you're meant to do, and hopefully we can keep this war going on as long as possible. Remember, they were talking about 100 years. John McCain came out and said he wanted to be in Iraq and Afghanistan for 100 years. Look, homie, if you can't win a war in 100 years, go the fuck home. If you're already telling me that my great-great-great-grandchildren are going to be fighting your war, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That makes no sense for anybody.
That's the same thing that we've done in North Korea. What we went to war in North Korea is not what we're at war now, because those people are dead and gone generations ago.
Yeah, you ask the average American if they remember the Korean War, and people didn't pay attention to school would be like, what? We went to Korea? They
Yeah, we went to war with Korea.
yeah.
Communism? Well, Korea's allowed communist. And North and South Korea were not split by North and South Korea. Russia took the top half and we took the bottom. We split that country up.
Yep.
Right? North and South Koreans did not want to break into two states. We did that.
Yep.
But the people look, you know what I mean? I'm starting to get too old to go, you know what I mean, to go. As soon as they need us, they definitely drop the age requirements quite a bit, right? They'll send an 80-year-old to fuck war if they start running low on people. Look at Vietnam, right? But, what we're looking at now, this is 4 generations of soldiers, and we're back fighting at the same place for a completely new reason on a country that we've been at war with for the last 50 years.
Were you talking about Korea, right? North Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I was hearing that there was some controversy, on experts on, where... Because Trump is supposed to talk to Kim sometime on the 27th of this month, and then possibly, if it gets delayed, maybe next month. There's controversy about, where this would be, where this meeting would take place, because South Korea is not going to be letting Kim, do the peace talks there. And then they were saying that they might want to put him on a border village, which is a safe zone. But I don't see the Secret Service falling for that shit. But then they were talking about bringing it to Switzerland, and then they were saying that Kim's been using Russian planes that can't go transatlantic, so they don't go that far. So where is this mysterious? Is it going to happen in the sky with a rendezvous of 2 helicopters, or?
Well, Trump mentioned something about reopening the transatlantic partnership.
Well, I mean, we're spring, right? And it's not, if there's the only time that you can go to war with Russia is during the summertime. You cannot go to war with Russia in the winter. That you will never win that battle. And you'll never be more aggressive, more bloodthirsty, or more hopped up on fucking meth than the Nazis.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Nazis fucking failed. Yeah, the Nazis got beat by a bunch of guys who didn't even have a couple of guns.
Yeah, look at...
They had a stick and a rock, and they were sharing the stick.
Yeah, look, St. Petersburg had, ran out of weapons, ran out of food, ran out of absolutely everything. You just can't do it in the wintertime, not in the Russian winter. That's fucking stupid. So if they're going to do it, this is that's the times that they're going to push for it. Right now, North Korea isn't that kind of threat. North Korea's nuclear facility, they can't throw off any more bombs or it may collapse on itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't look any of the military-industrial complex. You don't even have to really know the fucking specifics of it. If it's coming from the military-industrial complex, it's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Name one time it wasn't a lie.
Why would they lie?
Well, because peace talks equal less money,
Yeah, who peace sells with who's buying, right?
Yeah, but, no, truth is bad OPSEC. That's unfortunate.
You can always tell a false flag, right? The new false flag in Syria, again, the babies, this is a number one. They know it's an American trigger point. So when you see shaky video of a bunch of dead kids somewhere, chances are it's a false flag.
Yeah, people were saying that there was a lot of weird things that they were saying that they're using sarin gas, and it's turning out that it probably wasn't sarin gas, because I know it wasn't sarin gas because there was the people that are spraying down the people that were foaming at the mouth would have been dead. So it's looking more like they were using chlorine in a combination of something else.
If that, chances are it's
maybe some type of phosphorus.
Even mustard gas, you could still create a lot of damage if you got a lot of it, and that's probably what it was.
Babies died in Kuwait, and they showed that back and look at it. Like, brothers and sisters that are listening, go and look at what they did to try to get us to go to war in Kuwait. They went through and said the Iraqi soldiers went through and killed, like, put all these children on, like, their bayonets, right? Went through a neonatal unit and killed all these children. Packed pictures of the kids. This woman came forward that was like giving these crying, intense speeches to the UN, to the U.S. Senate, to all of these places. Well, turns out that it was a complete and utter false flag. It never happened, and the woman that popped up that did it was this ambassador's daughter who was not there.
You know what? Should I even mention this on the show about that intel I got? Like, I think that Twitter account is controlled by. It might be government related, like the whole. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
No.
they put out.
There was a
when it comes to this specifically.
there was
this is one of
a
those
Twitter account that I came across looking at stuff in Syria, and there was a Twitter account that said that there was going to be a missile strike a day before any Trump even said anything, and it actually specified 36 cruise missiles, and
they
yeah.
put out in all the time. This isn't the first time that they've done it, and then they came out with an excuse that that they had put out that we had. I think it was that we had declared war with somebody, and this and that missiles were on their way, and then they said, oh well, we accidentally posted that, and it's like nobody accidentally posts that. Y'all did that on fucking purpose. Come on, you know what I mean? It's just not real. The fact that someone was a day ahead of time and accidentally posted what they were supposed to post tomorrow is not absurd.
That's what I'm thinking.
Guys are not.
Yeah, they were trying to give us a hint, like hey, they're gonna attack Syria. Let's use this account that we've been using for the last couple of years.
It's all about how you use information. A couple of weeks ago, we had all of these countries accidentally kept on posting that we were under imminent nuclear attack, bombs on its way to Hawaii, Japan hands over attack. Right? The information that we're talking about on Facebook, they use those things to gauge your reaction.
No doubt.
Right. So this is what, look, if there's a strike on the way to Hawaii right now, right, somewhere that's far enough away, you know what I mean, that's not in the middle of the U.S., this and that, like there's strategic reasons on why it's not off in New York when you want it to, when you're planning on going to war, right? It's the same as sending your biggest and best, carriers and ships out to the middle of the Pacific right before Pearl Harbor, right? It's those kinds of actions that they do openly. Right, over and over and over again, and then they gauge we're there, followed by no more wars, which is not the reaction that they wanted. Okay, that's not going to work, right? So they'll go on to the next thing. What would make them scared enough to do it? And they'll gauge your reaction to modify it just a little bit to get the effect that they would like, which is for you to go to war.
Yeah, and like like we were saying beforehand, before the show, they're probably going to test something that they were promising their military contracts that they needed to test out, right?
Yeah, it's called a proxy war, and we did this in Iraq as well. The Iraqi military was not like underbuilt. It was actually the most powerful army in the area. They had all of the best equipment that you could buy. The best equipment you could buy from Russia, the best equipment you could buy for China. It was like going to war with Russia and China without actually doing it. Now, it's been almost, we're working on 20 years, right? The technologies has changed. They all have weapons that they would like to test against each other without actually going to war. The Russians have a new ballistic missile system, obviously. Trump, for some reason, felt the need to tell everybody in the world that, whether it was an accidental leak of information, I don't know. But we have a new set of ballistic missiles that we would like to send their way too. And how you can tell that is because we're really proud of our new big bad technologies, right? So when we send whatever missile it is, it's actually a promotion for that weapon. Right, so if you look at Scuds, the new F-22, the F-117, right, things that you hear about are done for a reason, right? And because they didn't specify what rocket they plan on using, which ballistic missile. These aren't Scuds or Patriots, right? You remember the Patriot missile? We talk about it every 15 minutes there because we want you to buy more, right? Fire missiles, right? We're real specific, unless it's a weapon that we're just testing out. And then if it doesn't work, we don't want to come back and say, well, the new, you know what I mean? Missile that doesn't show up on radar didn't work, right? They're not going to, they're not going to do that. They can test it and see whether it works. Now, if it works, tomorrow, whoever wins that side, it'll be all over their news. If the Russians shoot down 20 out of the 36, right, it'll be all over the news. If we make all of them and it doesn't, right, they'll put, 80% of them made on our new ballistic Tomahawk. But none of these are good people, you know what I mean? And their game is war. That's what they know. Never be surprised. Every industrial complex, it always costs more. No matter every industrial complex, always cost us more. No other industry works that way.
Yeah.
Shit, I had to be a professional writer, right? Now I can get a word processor for fucking what, $10, $5, $3? I can get like 10 of them on my phone for free if I work for ads. But the military industrial complex always costs more.
Yeah, like what were they charging for those javelins? They were charging, was they like $80,000 for a fucking javelin for a rocket that goes up and down? Like, you think that would have been cheaper? Like, you know what I mean?
F-22 doesn't even work, and we spent what, $6 trillion on it so far in like the real budget, not the black budget.
There's your tax dollars at work.
Yeah, there's some serious markups there that you just can't justify, man. Nothing costs that much.
Yeah, and it's the same. Like, I know we talk about the border thing, but look, if it takes you an army of heavily armed mercenaries and billions of dollars to undermine a woman smuggling her 2 children into the country, how do we hire her? Right? Because she can obviously get so much more done than you guys can. It takes an entire ICE army to undermine 5 guys working in a fucking restaurant.
Oh, speaking of ICE, did you guys hear about that Border Patrol incident that happened? It actually happened last year, but it's been bringing to the surface where some guy, the Mexican authorities caught the Border Patrol agents throwing a guy with the mental issues back over the border without giving him proper processing. Like,
that sounds about right.
Yeah,
I mean, they throw him over the border. What did they throw him over a fence?
I think the guy. Well, the guy came across. I think he came across like one of those I think San Ysidro. I think they were saying. So I'm assuming he went through the cars, and they just basically. I think he was injured at that point, and they basically threw him over the border. And when the Border Patrol agents were talking to the Mexican authorities, they said that you can't just throw people over the border. You don't even know if he's Mexican or not. And the Border Patrol agent said he looks Mexican, and that's on video too. And yeah, and then they're like, well, why can't you? And then the Mexican patrol agent said, well, why don't you bring him to the Mexican consulate so he can get properly processed? And then it turns this big old thing where like they did some like a lot of people are looking into this. Like 43% of people who get deported don't know that they can go to the consulate and see what their options are.
I'm sure. Fuck, man, they should have taken him to somewhere safe. But I mean, if you're in good health and you get caught at the border, like, fuck, man, you should have ran faster.
Yeah, but they don't. I don't know, man. Like, I could see a Border Patrol agent just throwing a guy back over the border, but
cold-hearted shit. It's like that little hospital. Like, okay, guys, I get you. I don't agree, but you can a lot of times like use that you're doing your job or you're getting whatever. But come on, man, leave little girl in the fucking hospital alone. Are you serious?
Oh yeah, didn't they deport? They deported that little girl that was like it was in the hospital, and it was like life-threatening.
Yeah, just let it. Like, that's where it starts going. Okay, y'all are Nazis. Like at that point, you're a Nazi. There's no getting around it. When you're deporting girls, right? You fucked up. Something's not right.
Well, they I don't know, man. Like,
But I mean,
go ahead.
we are required to take care of each other. So when you somebody that's raving mad wandering in the middle of the desert, whether he's brown or not, you should probably find out what's up and not just dump him out the back of your truck, your pickup truck. I kind of imagine them like literally throwing him over a fence, but that's what I was asking. Did they use like a gate, or did they literally like chuck this dude over like a 5-foot fence?
See, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was
I
wondering.
don't know because I didn't see the video, but I read the article, and I just kind of like pictured like a border patrol guy throwing a guy over a fence. Like, that's kind of what I thought too. I was like, damn, dude.
They
Funny,
caught him
like-
coming over the cars. They threw him back over him, huh?
Like, come on, this does not look right. You know what I mean?
Like
Like-
I don't know, like I mean, there are proper procedures, to be done, but like for that to come from a guy, I think the border patrol agent was there for like 20 years. I mean, that's like, I know that that's not protocol, so I mean, like, maybe there should be an internal investigation into the people even patrolling the border. Like are they doing their jobs right? Are they doing proper procedure? Like the cops, you can't trust the cops. What makes us think that?
Oh, yeah.
What makes us think that the ICE and border patrol agents are doing their job even correctly?
Yeah,
Well,
he done one person like that. How many more did he do like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm very leery of anyone whose sole job is to drive around and look for brown people. That stresses me out. Like,
Desert
whatever
dwellers.
it is, but yeah, like that stresses me out. No matter how, like when you look back and it's like, what is your job? My job is to go and collect up brown people, and then we'll see if they're illegal or not.
Oh, and you've seen? Have
Right,
you ever
it's
watched?
just
Have
that-
you ever watched them? How they hunt people like they're fucking like in the field, like they're animals and shit. They're all like looking for fresh tracks with like an M16 strung to their back.
Oh yeah.
And they've given your life means nothing, right? Shit, you know what I mean? I'll get a badge if I've capped enough of you. I'll be agent of the year. High fives all around.
Way to go.
Oh,
yeah.
woohoo! Look, got me another one.
I've heard everything. I've even heard everything's gotten so fucking crazy with this Trump's the border thing that like now Border Patrol is now operating in the secondary checkpoint, which is near Camp Pendleton. So like you're like 100 miles from like Mexico, and then you get stopped for a second Border Patrol, which technically they're allowed to do, but they're not allowed to detain you. But they are detaining people. They're just allowed to check and see. That's all they're really allowed to do.
If we let this go, there'll be more and more checkpoints for your safety, for all sorts of different reasons.
Yeah.
Eventually there will be. I mean, we need to monitor what you're doing, what you look like, why you're going to do it, right? This is their standard protocol. And I mean, the immigration issue is a huge issue in America, but they're not. Their problem. Their thing is not to stop immigration, right? They especially when it comes to things like with ICE, that budget has to get bigger every year. That's how that business model works.
I once saw a video of an ICE agent arresting a guy that was getting out of court.
Well, I mean, it's when you
I'm like, dude, that is so fucked up.
Well, when you say there's 10,000 left, right? 5,000 left. When you get to a number, when you've done it, right? You've collected up all the brown people you're going to collect up. Now you've got, $1 trillion budget. Are you going to stop collecting up people? All the guys home? You know what I mean? And that's where it starts getting, this will not stop. Their goal is to have, is to collect up groups of people. They don't really give a fuck who they are. The smallest population and the ones that people won't speak out about are who we start with. That's standard.
Well, yeah, if they were,
But that
eventually
get bigger.
Yeah,
You just
There'll always
dragged
be
it.
another looking.
Hello.
So, like we talked, it has to be something that needs to be done. There's you can't ignore, just because it's not my personal opinion, I can't, and I'll fight against it. That's my right to do as an American. but that doesn't undermine that a large percentage of the American population would like to slow immigration, illegal immigration, one way or another. I don't agree with it, but that's still their right to do, and that can't be ignored, right? But then why do we only have one solution to any of these problems? Let me guess.
What?
We need a couple of $1 billion and large groups of armed people looking around for us.
Well,
Do I get it right?
I mean, they might, the illegal immigration issue might be toned down a little bit if they made the paperwork, if they made the paperwork issue and the fines associated with legal immigration a little bit, quite a bit lower. They made it a lot.
Well, yeah, but this Mexican issue until after they rounded up all the black people, that they could. Remember, before it was the immigration issue, right? We had what did Hillary Clinton call it? Super predators, right? So our police departments need to be as heavily armed as possible, be able to drive up and down the street, stop and frisk an innocent man going back and forth to work. Kill him if he asks you, right? Why are you searching through my pockets? I'm not doing any crime. I'm walking back and forth, right? And that was our prison industrial complex. Right? Well, they arrested, 2 out of every 3 black people, 2 out of every 3 poor people, right? Oh, well, that's okay. They're meth addicts, right? They're in a trailer park, right? If they're in a trailer park, we got no problem with. That's all you got to write. It happened in a trailer park. We can arrest them, shoot them, didn't give a fuck, right? Right? They were in a pickup truck. They were scary. They had a rebel flag in the back of their truck, right? They can paint those pictures, but when they're done rounding up, they can't round up any more poor people. They can't round up any more black people. Right? People started saying, hey, everyone in this prison is black. Oh, wait, maybe we do need to change the laws. We need to change the immigration laws. Right? Always for this group to be running around and harassing people. That's what they do. Buffalo Soldiers, right? We need them to kill off the Indians, right? We need the cavalry to kill off the Native Americans. A huge genocide from one side. Ardent groups of people that we can pay the government to harass us because they're dangerous. They're animals. They're savages, right? It's not their land. It's ours, right? We've got our slave, the slave patrols, which turned into our police departments. It's okay that they're exact slaves. They're animals, right? They're violent. They may be raping white women. Right? You've heard all of these things before. We need police departments only, right, to monitor Italians and the Irish.
I'm going to call a crackhead.
They're violent. They have huge families.
Yeah, I was going to say, weren't they they were the first police force in America, right? It was the Irish, right?
Yeah.
Got ours from the English, which is where our hatred for the Irish came from. That was a culture. The Irish, nobody.
Yeah, we're an English colony.
They infiltrated the police departments, and now our view of the standard Irish cop that didn't exist in the beginning part of America. That was so far away from reality, right? But they infiltrated the police departments, and then within 50, 60 years, the entire department was Irish, and they were much more less likely to beat up their brothers and cousins and aunts and uncles. But it's something that many other cultures have not been able to do. Have had real problems doing it. Mostly because of our skin tone. You can't be Black Irish. Black Irish means that you have dark hair and dark eyes. You would tell them you were English. You would tell them you were Italian. Tell them whatever to get in the police department. And they did it overwhelmingly. And now our entire view of the police has an Irish move it along. But that was as far from truth as humanly possible when Irish immigration was here. They were the enemy.
It seems like the Dead Rabbit Gang was actually a real thing back in the days of settling the U.S. They were an Irish mob worker group, kind of like other gangs.
Oh, anytime that you oppress people, you create an underworld. That's just the way that it works. If the government isn't going to, if the government isn't going to protect the people, somebody has to. So I mean, anytime we have oppressive governments, we get these underworlds like that. Whether it's the drug trade, you know what I mean? Whether it's the gun trade, no matter what it is, as soon as you put that element in it, and your deal isn't to stop anything but to oppress people, it creates an underworld.
That is true.
I can't look call, like, you know what I mean? I'm African American and Native. I can't call the cops. They'll shoot me. Show up and execute me and my family and my dog. Right? So, I mean, that's what happens. When you're oppressing people, you create an underworld. Yeah, that guy at the end of the street is a bad dude, right? But he's not going to execute me in cold blood. He wants to know what the fuck happened. He'll at least ask, what the fuck's going on? Right? You're going to show up and shoot my entire neighborhood up. Fuck, that dude's lucky to kill anybody in his lifetime. You've got, you know, people driving up and down the street right now, right, that have you know what I mean? 10, 15, 20 cat kills on their belts that they're celebrated for. Well, that was a known crack house. No, you killed like a 14-year-old girl and a kid sleeping in their crib in a house that nobody was dealing in. Well, you know what it's about in that kind of neighborhood. It's those people. They're animals.
Well, there's no accountability. There should be. I mean, when you fuck up that bad, it's
Well, it seems like
that's the real problem. There's no accountability for any of this anymore.
it seems like every
Nobody in government or police gets away with it.
Yeah, it seems like every day, you know, in the news we're hearing about the cop shot somebody. You know, like that's
and how many get hammered? I mean, they almost all get away with it. It doesn't matter how good a video you have, how outrageous it is. It just that nobody gets in trouble.
Well, yeah, and like even to say anything about it, you have to be a saint. You know what I mean? Top of your class, right? You know, a great person, you know what I mean? Never been arrested, clean record, never a driving violation, you know what I mean? Never an argument with your girlfriend. You have to be the perfect human being to even say anything about it, right? If one time you got into a fight at a bar, right, they'll put you as a criminal. That's why we shot him. Look, he was a bad guy. It doesn't have to be a good guy. You didn't have to run up on him and fucking blow him away. That's what you did. Whether he was a good guy or bad guy, we have a justice system to figure that out.
Didn't they just shoot some guy in the Midwest like 7 times that was holding a cell phone in the back?
Yeah.
He didn't even know the cops were there.
And their immediate statement was that he rushed us. And the internet went nuts. That like underlying racial whatever the fuck's going on. Right, immediately came out. Well, then he shouldn't have ran from the police.
I saw a worse video in Utah where they had a report that the guy had a gun and the guy didn't have a gun, and the guy was crawling on his hands and feet, and the cop is saying that he will kill him. The cop shoots the guy crawling on his hands and legs. He shoots
down
him,
the hot hallway.
Yeah, he shoots him in the head. Like crawling on his hands and legs, like that's the kind of police force that we have here, and
and he got away
with it. He said that the cop said he was reaching for something. I'm like, bro, not only was he intoxicated, but he wasn't reaching for anything. He was crawling on his hands and legs, drunk,
following your commands.
Yeah,
and it's like. I think we should do it like the military. I honestly do. Look, you cannot engage a target unless you get permission from HQ. That's just the way it is. You are not qualified you're in the situation. You may be scared. You may be whatever. There's plenty of times in the military where you're like, look, I've got shots fired, and they tell you to hold out.
There might have to be oversight they were talking about, you know, at least in the West Coast, they were talking about, you know, creating laws against using lethal force, but you know, even oversight would be better, you know.
It back to your headquarters where somebody is watching what the officers are doing on a screen, right? You can radio in, tell them shots fired, and look, they need to tell you, you know what I mean, hold your fire. There should have been someone screaming in his ear, hold your fire. Do not engage. Until you know what's going on, you cannot light up this fucking neighborhood. The same as when you're a wreck. Like, they've got military technology, but they do not have the military training.
But look at the standard, though. That's what's. I mean, so you can be even more trained in the military, and you have less freedom to do what these guys do.
Yeah, no way. And it's like, what's with the like? You can't kill, you know, somebody that's coming at with you with a knife. Shoot him in the fucking knee, man.
Well, it's not only that. Weren't police departments, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they spend a lot of money in non-lethal rounds? Like, shouldn't that be like the primary to go to? And I'm not talking about the tasers. They actually bought the 45
Rubber bullet.
45 ACP rubber rounds. Yeah.
Bag round. There comes the thing. It costs them a lot in lawsuits, really. If they kill you, it's over and done. They get, the publicity and all of that. They may have to pay out if, like I said, you're walking down the street and they, break every bone in your body. There isn't any of these things that are non-lethal. They're called less than lethal.
Well, less than lethal. You're still gonna get hurt pretty bad, but.
Well, that's where you see the tasers thing, and it's all like, okay, you tased the guy, he was down. Well, then you spent the next 20 minutes sending, 400,000 volts through him, screaming at him to put his hands behind his back. Dude, you just shocked the fuck out of him. Let him sit there.
Flopping like a fish out of water.
That's even controversial as well. You know how there's been quite a few incidences where the people had underlying medical conditions and they fucking died when they were tasered.
Yeah, and it's because, you went in and just lit this guy up, and there just becomes a time where it's like, hey, look, what are you doing? Yes, that guy stole a candy bar. You blew his head off? You know what I mean? When every single thing is punishable by death.
Yeah, well,
that's
I mean, that's... Yeah, it is
You're
something else.
Selling, loose leaf cigarettes, punishable by death. You know what I mean? Every little thing is punishable by fucking death. And it's like, well, why would you run for the cops? Look, he's going to fucking shoot me anyway. At least if I run, I might have a chance.
You can outrun that cop, but you can't outrun that talkie, though.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, well, you know what I mean? I thought if you were standing there, you weren't complying. If you come up to them to say, hey, you know what I mean? I'm an unarmed guy, right? He was rushing. If I'm running away, either he's doing something wrong and he was running. There is no fucking winning.
Did I tell you about that when I got pulled over for doing an illegal U-turn? Like, the guy, the cop had a gun pointed at me. Like, I was like, and I had the car off. My hands were on the steering wheel and he was pointing a gun at me. I was like, what the fuck? For a U-turn?
That's very suspicious to her. Hey, well, they have the same solution for everything now. It doesn't matter if it's warrant service or pulling you over for a U-turn, Tyler. You're going to get shaken down, man. You're going to put a gun in your face, and if you escalate it at all, we're going to blow your shit away.
Well, yeah, the cop asked me. The cop asked me why I was shaking. I'm like, because you are pointing a gun at my head. Because you're high. I'm like, no, man, I'm not high. Like, I'm shaking because.
No, unlike you,
yeah.
know what that gun can do. Like,
yeah.
You obviously.
Yeah. So he just has no empathy, see, because from his angle, everything's cool. It's like, hey, I got this gun pointed at this guy's head. I'm in control of this situation. Yeah. Why are you shaking?
Because...
I mean, so what do there's obviously no empathy there. He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was riding in the middle with 3 people in the back seat of a car one night, and a cop pulled us because the headlight was out. As soon as I got out the middle, the guy falls in the ditch trying to pull his gun out because he thought I was getting out with a weapon. When he's like, "Get out with your hands up." And first thing to come out the car was my hands and then my feet.
That's very suspicious.
No human do. You'll see these and there'll be 10 people screaming on the ground, the hands on your head, jump backwards, roll on your feet, crawl towards me, crawl away from me. It's fuck, man.
Empty your wallet.
Yeah, he didn't follow our commands. Well, yeah, you gave him every command that there was. What the fuck was he supposed to do? So we shot him. Oh, okay. Well, that's all right then.
He didn't follow my commands. I don't know, man. He was just living his life. He didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't have to follow any commands. There is no commands. You're not a fucking god. And that's what you think. You didn't follow my commands. Who the fuck are you? It's a busted taillight. Send me the letter in the mail.
It's the Grim Reaper, man.
And you do have to watch it. They do make guns that do look like cell phones of sorts. They're like the modern day Derringer. They hold about 5 to 8 rounds, I think.
Yeah, those concealed those concealed guns, the ones that are shaped like the cell phone. I think you need a special permit to hold those things though.
They're not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not. It's an epidemic of killings in America. When we think about all the cool hidden guns and all the cool stuff, there isn't an epidemic of cops being killed. Fuck, man, if a cop gets killed, it makes nationwide news. You know, how many cops are killed this year? 10? I mean, that's a horrible number, but 10 compared to thousands and thousands of people in response of people that did not have weapons?
Depopulation agenda at work.
Yeah, look, a cop has a much better chance of being hurt wrecking his squad car than he does being shot.
Yeah, they get pretty loose with those cars, man. They don't last very long.
No rules. Do whatever the fuck you want. I mean,
I don't know
we
when this
survived.
started. See, I'm trying to remember, like, what, you know, because it's all snowballed now. It's like they've learned that they can pretty much get away with any kind of behavior now. But when was it? Maybe 15, 20 years ago? When something happened,
Yeah, I don't know.
with the legal system. I don't get it.
Well,
It's been
they
longer
changed
than
the law.
that.
We were fine with it. Look, when those laws applied to just black folk, they didn't care. Right? Like, it's just the way it is. And they built that whole system, like we were saying about the immigration, they built this whole system to do exactly what they're doing. And now they can't pull back from it. They've spent way too much money.
Oh yeah, it's
Right.
fully militarized. But in the 70s, because I have some articles from back in like the mid to late 70s. Police were liable for like 3 times the amount of the sentence of a civilian for the same crime. If all you had to do is essentially prove, hey, the cop went crazy and did this. Well, he was going to get 3 times the amount of time that a civilian would. Now they just get away with it. I mean, the whole mindset has changed in 40 to 50 years here. As bad as that was,
Police that accidentally shot someone, that you came into a room, you thought he had a gun, whatever, they had a huge suicide rate. You'd go home and exactly what happened. Look, I came around the corner, the guy had a cell phone. I zigged when I should have zagged. I ended up killing an innocent man. It affected them emotionally, right? They had a huge suicide rate in officers that had been related in those shootings. And now we specifically hired people and asked questions and then trained you. You look at like the police that their shooting ranges are pictures of black people. So you're used to it. You'd hesitate for a second for shooting, a blonde-haired girl, right? A little, a little kid. But if you can, you can train someone to respond that way, you are not worried about shooting that black person because you've been trained to shoot them. And they build that up. New York was deliberately hiring people with the lowest test scores.
Oh yeah, they need that knuckle dragging army. That'll just do what they're told. Order takers.
Yeah, because what they arrested this cop, have fined him, ruined his life, kicked him off of the force, not because he shot someone, but because he didn't shoot someone.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did. I remember hearing about that. Yeah, because the guy was a vet. And he told he told him that the guy wanted to commit suicide. That's what he wanted. He told him that the guy had it. Yeah.
And he wasn't arrested. And this is something that I've said over and over about the military. Like, what these guys are painting as a high threat situation is not as high of a threat as they're making it sound. Dangerous, yes, but you are not in a war zone. And these guys, the guys that are out there, they have tricked themselves. We're military police. Like, you're in a war zone. You're at war, but they've never been to war.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, the vet knew that he knew that it wasn't even a real threat. Like, the guy didn't. He knew that there was. Go ahead.
And he's got his gun drawn. The dude's got a knife. He's obviously, having some issues. And the guy says, just fucking kill me. Just fucking kill me. And the cop, pulls back, walks backwards, which the cops now are taught never to do, right? You only, push forward until you kill them, right? Where the guy kind of approached, started to come towards him with a knife, and he backs up. I've got a gun. I can kill you at any time. You know what I mean? Right? So the guy backs up and says, I'm not going to do that, brother. I'm not going to kill you today. You're not going to die today. And he backs up, trying to de-escalate the situation. Well, then the other knuckleheads come fucking blaring out their car and blow the dude away. And then they charge this cop for not shooting, where in all reality, he had that under control. That man would have went to a hospital, would have went to a mental institution. He would have lived that day if it was just up to that officer. The other cop didn't even get, open the doors and blew him away.
Yeah, it's the new mentality. That's what it is. I mean, they think it's something they need to be doing, and we put up with it. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I don't think the people I think the people have had it with the police to the point where I know that the average American knows that you can't trust the police and they will pull a gun on you. But the point is like, what should we be doing as citizens to make sure this doesn't happen? And when the police are the
government, but you can't seem to do that anymore. There's no platform for the people to redress their government, and that's the breakdown.
Well, it's an epidemic here in America that it's an unspoken understanding, that the cops are dangerous and they'll put guns on you. And here in America, they will kill you if you have a cell phone in your hand, and they'll say that
there is no recourse. And that's like a definite problem. So I will speak up for them in that, and that's not everybody. At a certain point, guys, you don't have a choice. We'll hold you up. You know what I mean? Come out and speak the truth, right? Come out against corruption, come out against these killings, come out against it. You know what I mean? You have to work for the people, but in the same time, a lot of times they're working an uphill battle. You can't go.
Yeah, it seems
anyone.
like they.
You can't go. You can't.
Yeah,
go
even
to
they
the,
can't.
You know what I mean?
They can't go to anyone. I mean, I think there was a Parkland sheriff who was pushing against some of what went on around the school shooting, and they just found him dead. So it's not like those guys could come out either. They don't seem to live very long.
Oh no, and the ones like the friends that we had that have stood up, right? So we had a brother in Florida, right? You know what I mean? He's one of those guys. Look, if there ain't something real going on, if there's not a crime being committed here, right? Don't fucking call me. He's that kind of dude. He can't get a job. You know what I mean? He can't find, the police departments won't hire him because they're all corrupt. It's not like he can find a police department that wants good officers like that. It's a nightmare that we've built this system that we can't seem to get back out of, even though we see it all around us. Fuck, man, like Wyatt Earp only shot one guy before the OK Corral, and then after the OK Corral, nobody else. And that's in the, you know what I mean? That's the wild, wild fucking West. Our, you know what I mean? Our cutout TV version of what you know what I mean? Of what a lawman's supposed to be. Not really who he was, but, you know what I mean? We use that. That's been changed for TV purposes. But, you know what I mean? He wasn't a shoot first, ask questions later. In his memoirs, the guy that he shot before the OK Corral, it haunted him for his entire life.
Yeah.
And that was another dude with a 6-shooter, you know what I mean, trying to fucking kill him, and blowing away another man fucking destroyed him.
I don't know. Nowadays, they just don't give a fuck,
Yeah, we got.
No, it's like the way you get a bump up and a pay raise, man. You pull off.
It's
kill,
like good
kill
job,
some people
good job killing that innocent bystander who had a cell phone in his hand. He was dangerous anyway. He had a crack pipe in his pocket.
We know he did. Yeah, we just didn't find it, but we know it was there.
Well, yeah, and if you find any drugs on them, then that it was perfect. You know what I mean?
There it is, right there. I found it.
Yeah. Well, people are trained. This whole war on drugs convoluted the whole thing. That's what they can always fall back to that. And then people go, well, yeah, we really don't like all these drugs and all this, and so then you turn them loose again. Every time you get them pulled back maybe to that point, but then people they're okay with that, and that's the whole problem. That's not okay.
A perfect example, and that it's not saying that any drug is I'm not promoting them in any way, shape, or fucking form. But you get caught with a little bit of coke, and you're well and on your way. You get caught with a little bit of crack, it's life in prison. Why? Because, well, black people use crack. That was the excuse. Black people don't use drugs, statistically, right? More than any other group, right? And because of the world we live in, much, much, much less, right? They still paint that picture. Super predators.
Well, and that was the Clintons, right? Or was that Hillary? Didn't she say
That was Hillary.
Or was it Bill? Yeah.
Never forgive her for that. Because I was an 18-year-old kid, and the entire, you know what I mean, or a 16-year-old kid, and the entire world now looked at me as a predator.
Super.
And that was the time in my life where you go from being the cute little brown kid to a threat, which is really hard for a lot of people of color to come to terms with. Because when you're little and you've got an afro, right, everybody loves you. Everybody loves you. People are happy to have you around. Nobody's scared of you. And then you turn into a man and you immediately become a violent, evil criminal that people look down on in fear. And it's hard to come to terms with. And it's like a, you know, and at that very moment, that was when the Clintons were, you know what I mean, were at their height. She gave that speech, and the entire world now looked at me as that, said it over and over and over again.
That's because they love you, Terrence. They
Yeah.
love black people. They're Democrats. They love you.
No, sons of bitches quit loving me, and that made me really mad. It hurt my feelings.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
so
The Clintons
yeah,
are something
I'm a
else.
very dude, and y'all broke my heart. You Democrats, you broke my heart. But you're not really. When you're little, it's just a completely different world, and then you hit this age where you immediately get seen as a threat. For me, it was like 14 to 16 years old, and you really saw a change. You know, the little kids that the kids that you grew up with. Well, now all of a sudden they can date one of your friends, but they sure as fuck can't date you. And you're like, look, I've known you for 15 years. Right? Like if you were the kid that was next, that was fine, and that didn't happen until you were 14.
At least it ain't country rap.
Please.
Eventually, look, when country first came along, they were not happy with that either. Like now it's the acceptable music. But when country first came around, they were not happy with that at all. Right?
Well, Elvis, he was out there too. I mean, yeah. All that, that hip thrusting, that was big time provocative in the
Oh, it's all
50s,
racist and sexist. Come on, man.
Oh, it was gyrating around, hanging out with black people. Fuck.
Oh, man.
There's drugs involved, I guarantee.
Because all the way up to that, you know what I mean? Even love songs were like 5 guys doing kind of like barbershop quartets. And then all of a sudden this wild-ass rock and roll came along. It was going to destroy our entire way of life. Our moral fiber. I want to know, like, if anyone comes out, like, just to put out on the airwaves so it's on here forever, right? When the next kind of music comes along, and they come out and tell you that it's going to destroy the moral fiber of your society, you need to ask them, so you're telling me that your, like, society can be destroyed by music? Like some sort of super...
Hey, don't say that. They'll ask that about Facebook.
Yeah, that's like the secret that you find on your quest, that the darkness is actually killed by some musical instrument.
It is. Have you ever heard of Slayer?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm gonna go with Pantera. Not a huge Slayer fan.
Well, I was just saying, when Slayer come out, it was a big band from some guys I know used to play music. Said when Slayer come out with a certain album, it come out on the vinyl records. Anybody, those are, I'm sure y'all do.
Yeah,
it said if you played it backwards, you could hear the devil talking to you.
On a Slayer album, fuck! You could have just listened to the album. I think they're pretty upfront with their lyrics.
Yeah. Let me see. Angel of Death, Rain and Blood.
Like what deeper meaning? There's a
Skin Mask.
Like group out there that's got this whole like thing built around like the Monster Energy drink, and that like the 3Ms somehow spell. Oh no,
Metal Militia.
They're actually threes.
Yeah.
Right. So.
I saw that. I saw that video today. Like again for like since that lady's like fucking crazy.
The devil. there's like, I don't mean like in some esoteric way, but like literally the devil has created this entire company, right? To trick people into buying Monster Energy drink, and I'm watching this and I'm like, oh my god, just wait till she finds out about tequila. She's gonna lose it.
Yeah, she was saying
Well,
that
that
she was saying the Aleph symbol in back because the Hebrew alphabet is based on numbers, has the numeric value of 6. So Aleph, 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 or Yasad, Yasad, Yasad equals 666. And I'm like, lady, if I draw a bunch of lines, like I was thinking in my head, like you'll start seeing patterns, but just because you're seeing patterns doesn't mean there's actually a design behind it. That means that your mind is seeing things that it wants to see.
Yeah, we connect the dots. So like the pattern in the moon in no way, shape, or form makes a face. But the human mind will fill that in with things that it knows. And everybody that looks up puts a face in it. It's just the way that we work. If you, on a globe, if you start drawing lines between one place to another, it'll start making a pattern. This isn't hidden. That doesn't mean that there aren't things that aren't built on purpose, and it doesn't mean that there aren't, if you look at a DC is definitely, built on Masonic traditions and built up to Masonic standards, and those things really do make symbols and are built there for a reason. But you can make lines from anywhere that you want and start making symbols and connecting dots. I know I really enjoyed the research about the Bible code. So some of the other Anons way back in the day was something that we were really interested in. But it really turns out that any large tomb of literature that you put in, you can make, as long as you're looking in the past, you can make, you can connect them to dots that happen throughout history. Moby Dick, the Bible, doesn't particularly matter what it is. What I always thought the cool thing about that is that maybe, writing, be able to move information back is truly what the inspiration is, the spark, the magic that's involved in any of that. And that if you have the ability to write down information, right, you can find these patterns and match things up that existed in that world. I don't see that as being, weird. But you can find patterns in anything. That's the world we live in. It's kind of cool. But it was kind of our first playing around with certain algorithms. I mean, that built into other things that were going on in the non-community at the time. But it was something really cool to look at and kind of research and find out. But like I said, we can find patterns in all sorts of stuff. Can we use those patterns to our advantage is the point.
Yeah, I always had problems with those Bible code people because I always made this big argument that the data set is flawed.
That was the deal. And I do not buy into organized religion at all. But if there was a spark, that spark would have been of knowledge, and writing is the exemplification of that knowledge.
Well, yeah, there were
right?
so many, like if you went up to the actual Torah, like even like if you know anything historically about the Torah, even that's been changed over time, So it's like if your data set has an inconsistency and you're trying to find patterns from a grand designer, but your data set is fucked up because people don't write things right over the years, then what's the point? Like your data set is flawed.
Yeah, and these all sound like the problems that are in that structure always seem to be the problems of man, right? So it's like, you can't come to the conclusion that possibly the entire planet that God created, maybe the entire universe that God created is sacred land. I think it's pretty impressive to create the universe and possibly the multiverse. A temple built by guys with stone hammers, I'm not sure is all that important in comparison. But yet men will murder each other because of ownership of something that, the entire world is so absolutely beautiful, but we will tear each other apart over that little spot in the Middle East.
Yes,
destroy the world. And it's like, do you not realize how absolutely amazing the rest of the planet is? God made all of that too, right? Like, am I missing something?
I was actually joking around a couple of days ago about how to solve the problems of the Middle East. You get a guy with a bomb that's big enough to blow up all the countries in the Middle East, and you tell him, like, if you guys don't get along, I'll blow all you guys up.
No, I just like just we need to come together and just really say at this point, look, guys, nobody owns it. I'm sorry. Oh, but I don't give a fuck who you are or why you're there. Nobody owns it. If you want a house, you're gonna have to buy it like everybody else.
Yeah.
But it belongs to nope. God made the whole fucking planet. Nobody owns it. You can work that out with God when you get up. In fact, feel free to blame it on me. The reason that you weren't able to murder each other over is because I said God made the whole fucking planet. Get over it so we can move on to better and bigger things. Like, come to the realization that if there is a deity that created the universe, he created the entire fucking universe. You don't need to explore the universe because you're too busy dicking around in the Middle East about where somebody went up into the sky or not.
Oh, the Shiites versus
What if
the
kept on
Sunnis.
going
The
and you're
Sunnis, yeah, the Sunnis versus the Shiites. They're killing each other over whose interpretation was correct.
Yeah, you have to think like every time they send one of their prophets down, no matter who you are, says you guys should love each other and take care of the poor. And immediately, as soon as they leave, we start murdering each other in their name. Where I'm sure after the hundreds of millions of Muslims that have died now, I'm sure if you could get a hold of him, he would be like, look, guys, that is not what I fucking meant. I think if you went back and told Jesus, look, man, there's going to be this thing called the Crusades, he would be like, oh my, please, 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 not in my name. Please, not in my name.
Yeah, there were yeah,
Moses, we are going to murder each other for the next 3,000 years if you are not extremely specific in what you put on these tablets. Right? But it's like the humanity refuses to listen to what's obviously in front of us.
yeah.
And it's mine. Like, I don't know if it's like people. I mean, most people don't even travel to the Holy Land. You know what I mean? Most people that are desperately like funding this in the end. So what? America, us. Most of us will never go to the Holy Land. I've been to the Holy Land. It's absolutely beautiful. That's fine. I've been to plenty of places that were around the world that God obviously took much more time in making absolutely beautiful. Like the argument just seems so endlessly pointless to me. And I just don't. I think if you asked any one of them, they would say, "Please do not do this in my name. Feed the fucking poor. Quit working for the fucking bankers. Do y'all love each other? What do I got to do?" That's how not kill. I am not sure. I told my dude to literally chisel it into fucking stone. Are you not getting it? Like, how more specific you think God would have to be? I gave you the entire universe to play in, and y'all are arguing over a little bit of sand somewhere. Y'all don't get it. Y'all just don't fucking get it. Possibly even a multiverse. There is a multiverse.
That's right.
There is a multiverse where there has always been peace. There's a multiverse where we may have superpowers. I could be kicking ass across the fucking world right now, but I don't get to do it because we're spending all our money bombing each other in the Middle East. We don't get to travel the universe. We don't get to feed anybody. We don't get to do anything that was cool. Like, the best that we can do is murder each other and make bigger and better, and they're not even bigger and better. Like, at this point, no matter what missile they come up with, it's just like, okay. Like, how many times can you nail before we're done? We're good.
Part of the problem is they're not serious about. Part of the problem is these guys aren't really serious about killing each other. It's like they just want to keep fighting each other for the next 10,000 years. They don't really, because if they killed the other side, then there wouldn't be anything to argue about or fight over, which is really what they just got to keep it going.
Like, some of these are really like the legions that are fighting now are apocalyptic. I personally think that maybe that whatever deity exists was probably trying to tell us that this world, the corporate nightmare that we live in right now, is going to come to an end, which is a good thing. The world where we work industrial complex, your time may be coming to an end. That's scary as fuck. To you, that's apocalypse.
You know what is scary is that Damascus is described in the Quran, that's where Syria is. There's a lot of action going on, even in Syria.
about, like we use the word Armageddon, but what it really is, there's a spot in the Middle East outside of Iraq called Armageddon. That's where we get the word Armageddon. That's where the battle, the actual place, right, where
Middle Earth.
where Jesus and the devil were supposed to.
Oh, I thought it was in
In-
Megiddo. I thought it was in North Israel.
Megiddo.
Megiddo.
I may be wrong on the location. I don't particularly believe that that's the way it's going to do. If y'all want to do that, that sounds like a fucking.
It's location, location, location when it comes to
No,
fighting.
my God says.
Yeah,
No, I'm playing. I'm playing.
yeah. I wonder when God wanted something done, He never needed man. It's God. But yet we've tricked ourselves into thinking somehow God needs us to do His dirty work. If God wants for Him, right? Even like the horrible part that didn't happen, but the horrible part with Passover, right? He didn't need people to go from door to door to kill all the Egyptian kids. They just died, right? He used the ghost to do that, right? It's why you mark your door. It passes to the next spot. It literally passes over. But he didn't need the couple of Israelis to go through or they weren't Israelis yet, Egyptians, to go through and murder everybody next door, right? God handles His own business. But yet every single religion, the religious fucking dead, doesn't really fuck around.
He told the Hebrews that it's the promised land too. I mean,
yeah, that's fine.
Their promised land.
It's one of those, like, you read a little bit into it. I promise you that this will be the promised land, right? What do you want to do with it? Oh, I'm going to murder every motherfucker that I can. I was hoping you guys would move there, make some olive fields, have a good time, be upstanding, members of the community, work with the local people that are there. I totally did not say go in and murder everybody with tanks. Wow. What a misunderstanding.
That's where free will comes into play, right? In the Bible, it says that God gave us free will. And also in the Bible, it says God gave Satan the tool of free will. So we're kind of screwed with that free will, right?
Well, let's hope, right? Now, okay, God does have bets with the devil. If you're a believer like that, right? God bets with oh goodness, Job.
It's just how
right?
I read it. Just saying.
Yeah, Job and God and the devil have a bet that the devil can fuck with Job any way he wants, not kill him, and Job will still love God. God is cool with this. Let's hope that they don't have another bet. And the devil said, look, I bet you if you send Jesus down there, these assholes will murder each other for the next 3,000 years. Possibly destroy the whole fucking planet. Let's hope that they didn't bet like that. He had no problem betting with Job. Betting on Job's life. I bet you if you send Muhammad down there, these fools will fucking lose it. What if God said no? They're actually good people. They're going to fuck around for a little bit, but they won't destroy the world. They will eventually come together, right? I believe in humanity, which even in Job's case, he does. That he'll see that God still loves him no matter what. Are we to that point? Like, let's hope that those bets don't continue on. That he didn't make that bet. That, look, these guys are going to just go crazy, raping, murdering motherfuckers.
Did that with the Vikings and.
Yeah. Go ahead. I am talking like complete shit. So.
Oh, you're good, man. It's late as hell for me.
Yeah, I think like I am in Fiji at the moment. To any of our listeners, we wanted to kind of do a walk on the beach, talk about ocean plastic. I'm not sure like if we want to go into it, but what I'm doing here is trying to bring several of the machines that turn ocean plastic into usable items. And I'm going to try. There's so much that gets imported from the mainlands, and it costs these islands, millions and millions and millions of dollars. We're hoping to use this ocean plastic as a resource, right? So we can take as much of it as we want out of the ocean, make everything that we need, and not have to import anything. So our plan is to go through the schools and make chairs and tables and all the things that the school needs out of this ocean plastic. And once we get them in the machine, they can make whatever they want out of this plastic. You just throw plastic in it, and it kicks out usable items on the other side. So using kind of a combination, the first part grinds it up, the second part heats it to the right to the right temperatures where it can be molded, and the third part puts it into whatever mold you want. From if you got to put panels on your car, school stuff, cases for your phone, little plastic, pieces, doorknobs, whatever you need, we can build all of the things that we need for the future out of this plastic that's already here.
Is
You
it? But
won't cost
is it toxic?
any.
Is it toxic when you refine when you melt them back down, or is it kind of safe? Like I never understood that process. Is it toxic when you guys melt them down though?
Once we finish the process, once it's turned into the item, it's not toxic.
I gotcha.
Now we can reuse these items over and over again. With this project specifically, we're ripping ocean plastic out of the ocean to use it. We're hoping that Google will set up. I know we talk a lot of shit about Google on here,
Yeah.
but they did talk that, they did write me back and say they may be interested in making their next device out of recycled ocean plastic. Now, on their side, they're going to sell it for a little bit more, but I'm under the impression I think people will pay a little bit and feel good about themselves that the device in their hand is literally taking plastic out of the ocean and saving animals' lives. Like, it's choking us to death out here. And there's, like I said, we're going to go up to, I've been showing it nonstop and live streaming. We're going to go up to Trash Island, that ocean patch that's 3 times the size of Texas.
Have you seen it? Is it really that big?
It's insane, man. I've been to islands that are uninhabited, have never been touched by like human feet, that are piled, knee high with ocean plastic, with bottles and cups, and just shit that people just throw away. Just everything
That would
that's
make
been thrown
sense.
away over the last fucking 40 years is there. Everything.
That
But
would
we
make
can-
sense. Kind of like Greenland is like the ice cap of the world. It's telling everything.
But I think we have to look at it. This is a resource. We have got all the plastic we could possibly need to build the future, because we need plastics. You can put it in roads. You can use it as building material. We need it for things.
Yeah, recycled plastic has a high for industrial. For building buildings and shit. There's a high use for it. Yeah, for sure.
It's a resource that we're just not looking at as a resource. So if I can get a couple of companies and really just get people working to want ocean plastic and start looking at it exactly like that, as a resource. We've got deep sea trawlers that are willing to start mining this, where there is no more fish for them to use these trawlers on. Right, and the fishing villages that people used to work on these ships are starving to death because of it. Because there is no money, there's no jobs. The ships are just sitting there. If we can get some of these deep ocean ships to mine for this ocean plastic, and companies willing to buy it, it'll be, a free for all. If we can get some of these Chinese companies to build their, industrial complex with deep ocean plastic, man, they will strip it dry. It's free.
Yeah, I think on that one island in Zimbabwe, some chick and some locals, they're turning the ocean plastic over there into bricks.
Yeah, to build with.
Yeah.
That's the deal. When it's flooding the ocean, it's a nightmare. When you build a brick, when you put it in a house that's going to last for the next 3,000 years, that is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
for sure, that's like honestly, that's like a monetary gold mine, to be honest with you.
Oh, we're not looking at it. We're asking the wrong people. These guys are assholes. We can use this. We can do this. We don't need their help at all. And with me, right, I'm just straight up giving the machines away. Every time we buy one, build one, whatever the fuck it takes, right, I'm just giving them away. I want it to go to the community, start building whatever you guys want. And I move on to the next island, the next spot, and do the exact same thing. Until I can get enough people doing this that we're building everything that we need. Every school in Africa having desks, chairs, tables, all the things they need, right, for free, right? You rip it out, it builds it, boom, you've got one. You've got a million of them. But we have it's like, come on, we're using all of every network that we possibly can, like all of these things, this whole game takes us working together. That is our number one strength. Solidarity is one of the few things that we have. And as soon as we figure it out, if people are like, I'm not going to buy an iPad, an iPad or an Android device unless it's made out of ocean plastic. Everyone on the planet will be made out of it. They'll be following each other backwards to see who can get the most out of there so that they can sell them.
Yeah, there's like so much unused like ocean plastic out of it that they literally could make all of the stuff that we need from recycled plastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't have to ask, but some of it look, the supply and demand thing works, except they've always been like telling us what we want. Right? We want our plastics to be made out of recycled and deep ocean plastic, in ocean plastic. We want all of our devices, all of our, if there's fucking plastic, we want it made out of recycled ocean plastic. If we demand it, they will sell it. And as soon as there's a demand for it, it'll go like hotcakes. Kyocera, every single, Apple, they will all make it. They'll have a little sticker on there with a blue recycle sign. This plug into this plug is made from ocean plastic.
Yeah.
But we have to create the demand for it, which is part of the game. That's why I'm here to kind of show that. But if I can do you guys want to go for a walk on the beach and we can like literally see the plastic and I can explain what we're dealing with?
Sure.
I don't know if that's possible. I don't know how our like my face pops up and if it will be like viewable for people.
We'll see. We'll try.
We're just gonna go. I got a little bit of a walk. I'm probably gonna get a little wet here, so I'm just taking my stuff out of my pockets. And I'm gonna kind of do the same thing. We're gonna go out to the mangroves, which that's unfortunately where a lot of this plastic like washes into. So it's just like piled up. It's a complete nightmare. But here we got like 5 minutes before I'm there.
Yeah, I thought Fiji was clean, but I guess not.
Well, and just do about it. How many people do we have? Do we have anybody on the comments?
Let me see. We're on like several different platforms, so it's hard for me to monitor them all at the same time.
Yeah, and I think I figure this out, but I can't really do it while I'm here and doing the show.
Oh yeah, I don't think your camera's on.
Well, unless you guys want to just see me walking down the street.
Oh, I got you.
It's a beautiful street. I'm like outside Nadi, which is in Fiji. So I mean, it's an absolutely beautiful place, which makes it so like heartbreaking on what's going on because nobody that's here asked for this nightmare. It's literally all of the plastic that we've been throwing in the water and just not giving a fuck. And we talk about getting rid of like trash in the U.S. There's some cases they just shipped it over and dropped it on the African shore, and it ends up over here too. Like just ram the boat into the side of into the land. It's not my problem, and they walk away from it.
Yeah.
Well, it's all got to end up somewhere. Why not Fiji?
Yeah, I'm not cool with that. Like I used to think, a message in a bottle. Now I'm just like, oh my god, more fucking plastic bottles. Are you shitting me?
That's a tampon in the bottle, not a message.
Oh no, there's no message. Yeah, it's like helpful to nobody because like some of the bottles, like glass bottles, although they're bad, they don't like choke up. All sorts of animals make like their little homes and stuff. Where the plastic bottles, that's not the case. When they do break down, it just gets worse and worse. All right, I'm almost done.
I like about to get in a fight.
What's that?
You sound like you're about to get in a fight or falling down. You're rolling to the beach.
As I say, what time is it where you're at? It's pretty.
2 o'clock. I think some guys are doing some fishing.
I think, yeah, he's 2 in the afternoon. I'm midnight already.
No, it's like the middle of the day.
0 hour.
You guys?
Oh, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon for you.
Yeah, it's still real early. There we go. And I turned get some stuff set up here, guys. So can everybody see that?
No, I see the camera. You need to point it down a lot more.
We will go for a walk. Hold on, everybody. Sorry. I got like the Wi-Fi hotspot and then the booster in my pocket on top of it. So it's high tide, so a lot of things have been washed in. There we go. How many viewers do we have on right now?
Like 2 on Facebook, and maybe like 15 overall.
You know what? Thanks to our
different platforms.
All right. So I'm kind of walking along. This stuff is like the worst. These are these like plastic ties. You guys can see these.
Yeah.
And I'll stop every. But you see like it's plastic ties, some juice bottle cap, right, and just like this little bit of styrofoam, and just every single step that you take, it's another group. These plastic bags are freaking nightmares because they like float around kind of like the kelp and stuff do, and animals eat them thinking that they're in kelp, or when they get caught in the like kelp areas, they end up getting in their digestive tracts and choking them to death, right? And you see, I'm just walking along, and I mean, some of these beaches are literally like packed with this. So look, there's another fucking water bottle, right? This one's from Germany, right? Like we can walk through. Go to this one. Not sure if you guys can see that. And there's this product of New Zealand. So like,
turn your camera the other way.
Hold on. There we go. So I mean, fuck man, these plastic bags are horrible. Same with like this styrofoam shit. This thing will last for 1,000 years, and it doesn't help anybody. You know, a case for somebody's phone. You know what I mean? A door lock, and you see it like this plastic here, like gets wrapped up in the debris that gets brought back out into sea, and then when the animals go to like hunt inside of it, it's got all these little pieces here. Like, look at this. It's just when you like peel it back, it's just like packed with it. Right? And this is where all the like, once it's floating around, the fish and algae and all of that shit is just packed with fucking plastic. Like this is the front to somebody's fucking Kia. Thanks. You know, like it's everywhere. These fucking Dipsy cups, and they don't help anyone. They don't do anything. But with this machine, when I can take this back, right, we can throw it into something and turn it into something useful. And that's like as far as you can go back. You know, because we just had the floods here, and more of those fucking plastic bags. Stop using plastic bags, like everybody. Just quit doing it. And like you see, it's in all of those. This is like the nylon plastic strap from people's underoos. Like, I mean, there's several different ways that we can do this. I mean, another great way to not have to deal with this plastic is to make it out of hemp plastic. So, I mean, these more plastic bags, fucking bottle tops, no matter where you look, and you guys can see down the beach, if it wasn't for that untouched, you know, this is the only legacy that we have left on this island, which is a nightmare.
And you said there's an island near you where it's like knee high, right?
God, it's crazy. I will post some videos about it. Like, I'll post some videos of some of the walks and stuff that we're going on. I'm sorry, I gotta collect up all of this trash. It'll drive me crazy. Like, there's just so much as far as you can see, you know, in all of this debris. More plastic bags, more bottles, and like all of this we can use to do something positive with that isn't going to just choke animals to death on far off islands. Like, you would think that it was in, you know, a trash heap. Like, all of this vegetation here is where the animals in the ocean live. And it's just plaqued with plastic. Anything that they hunt in there, they'll end up biting this. This is like a pump for eating this, and it'll kill them. And this shit lasts for thousands and thousands of years, and it's just packed with it. One of the, like, Tupperware tots. Come on, all the moms out there, these straws, both of those we can do something about. Like, come on, quit buying Tupperware and throwing it away. Same with the plastic straws. We don't need plastic straws. Make them out of something else. But it's crazy, and especially when you know, like, how absolutely important all of this, like, that. So the top to another bottle, another juice cap, right? They make fun of me because my pockets are always filled with plastic. Right? But every, you know, each one of these is a death. That's why I have to pick it up, right? Each one of these is a death sentence for an animal swimming around the ocean. Whether it's an otter, whether it's a fish, whether it's a whale, right? Each one of these pieces of plastic is a death sentence. Where we could use it to do some really cool stuff with. It looks like the caulking gun. Like, come on, y'all. Like,
There's probably a lot of stuff from trash barges, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure it is. But, you know, the barges right now, because it's not worth anything to them, we'll take it and just dump it out in the ocean. It doesn't matter how big the tide is. Little plastic, maybe Arizona? Hey, thanks for the gift from Arizona. Like a little green plastic tree, perfect size to choke some poor little fucking animal to death on. Super cool.
No,
Yeah,
this trend. Go ahead.
what's the point of people putting their names on tags on balloons and releasing them in the air? That's going into birds, planes, and of course Fiji, obviously.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. I don't know, like, it is heartbreaking and it is like a big task, but I totally think we can do it. As quick as we got it here, once people want it, like, the system that has stripped our planet of resources and all of that stuff can work to our advantage if we use it. I just want them to strip this plastic from the ocean. It's an ice cream bucket.
No ice cream.
Oh yeah, thanks. So yeah, whoever makes this ice cream bucket, I don't know who makes this ice cream bucket. Whoever makes this ice cream bucket, make it out of something that's biodegradable. Quit being dicks. Kind of the same thing I say about the last, who are the guys that are still buying like rhino horns, like ivory? Who's still buying ivory? Like, at this point, it's not.
I heard the Chinese buy it though. They believe it like has magical powers and shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Magical power. So there's only 4 of them left. Even if it did have magical powers, quit fucking shooting them and taking the rhino horns. So whoever the 4 guys that are still, because it's crazy expensive. Like, you have to be a multi-millionaire to afford it. Just knock it off. Come on, it's a dick move at this point.
Man, look at all that driftwood, dude. Build a house.
I've been fighting these.
Yeah, where you're at, like I was looking at the pattern of like where that trash island apparently just goes in a circle in between the. Yeah, just in the Pacific, it just goes around in a circle. It's about the size of Arizona, maybe even bigger.
Yeah, it's 3 times the size of Texas.
Yeah.
And it's just where ocean currents come together. So like everything that we throw in the ocean ends up coming over here, and it's just choking all of the wildlife together. I mean, I don't know to you guys. It's just, can you imagine this beach without plastic every 5 feet? So,
I'm sure a lot of wildlife go there to feed as well.
oh yeah, and I mean these are like just a little bit back here are like the nesting areas, right? So this is where a lot of there are mongooses here. They brought them in to eat the snakes, so I gotta watch out because they can get aggressive, and I don't want to fight with them.
It's like fighting with a fucking
Those are
like a
bad.
mongoose.
No, it is a mongoose.
Sorry, not
Exactly
mongoose.
like y'all are gonna see me hightailing it down the down the river. All right, so this is where all of these animals make their nests. So it gets like washed up here in the storms, and normally it would be good stuff. So like the kelp that gets washed up and they make all of their homes and stuff out of this. But instead, like this is one of those things from somebody's like kid's bedroom, and they end up eating it up. So like you see this one's like over here by the coconuts and all of that. And they end up getting this in their systems, and it chokes them to death and kills them or tears up their stomachs. And like the farther you go back, you see like the little mangroves here kind of catch it. This isn't the big one that I'm going to take you guys to, but I'm just kind of showing what it is. Another Fanta bottle. Like we need to shame these companies. Fanta, come on, Coke. So many Coke bottles out here.
Well, the reason I can tell you from a bottling perspective why they got away from, or went to plastics rather, was to get away from glass, which they had far more problems with and more defects that were more serious. I mean, glass is recyclable as well, but I don't know. Broken glass is a problem too. It's
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
was like, is bad, but the way that it breaks down um, makes it much easier to deal with. It doesn't destroy the environment um, quite the way plastics do. But it's still spray container, another drink bottle, whatever it is. Um,
yeah, glass sinks, I guess, and
yeah.
plastic
So
floats.
and it doesn't get caught up in the kelp and all of the where everything feeds at. Right, so these, like I was saying, like these little bits of plastic, like glass doesn't do that. It just break and go to the bottom, or some little crab will make its home in the other side. You can't do that with these plastic bottles or this plastic shit, because it goes to this, it breaks down eventually, but not truly. So like it'll kind of do that melting. Here's one that's like midway, so it'll turn into shit, right, where it kind of like melts together, and then it's slowly but surely, like same with this one, it's starting to break down into its other parts. So this will break away and then turn into these little shards that float inside of here, and they'll go all the way down to like real little fine, like plastic balls. But I mean, if you guys look around here, that's an intake for somebody's spent, like all of this stuff. It's real sad what there's a watching thing, throughout. But I don't know how to explain it. As soon as we see this, we collect all of this stuff up, and we'll give the school down the street, right, all new desks. That easy. Right? And it's not going to go in and, destroy it. I think even a lot of the people that come to the resorts and all of that would pick up trash and put it in one of the bins if they knew it was going to, like, on your way by. I think people would be willing to do that little bit too.
Does Fiji have any kind of like recycling program going on or nothing?
They do, and there are people going on, but there are people that do recycling on the island and do some conservation stuff on the island. But none of this trash is from the island. So all of the trash that you see is floating in from other parts of the world. So I was kind of reading off the labels where each of them from, but you could go through here and just name off the country of the world. But it doesn't matter which side I walk on, it's just everywhere. But since we've made all of this plastic trash, I think that we should collect it up and use it to build cool stuff with. I don't think that'd be all that bad of a deal. Okay, the tide is coming in, and I actually have to get back before.
Well, I can tell you what I think you would run into is anytime, now this would be environmental stuff, anytime you mess with wetlands or digging up something near a shoreline, you always get in trouble for messing with
the
the
environment.
state,
Yeah.
the environment or the state of
Canada's
whatever
Canada's
what
horrible
is.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so even if you were like Terrence, and you're doing good with it, they're going to have some problem with it. But it's like, well, wait a minute, you've altered it somehow in its natural state. I just wonder how much how far you could get before you'd run into shit like that.
I think like a couple of things that we have to like do. I mean, I think that's more than likely to happen in one way, shape, or form. Got a letter from the Department of Agriculture once. No idea what that was about, but just, whatever they were into, I just was not. I'm not like I don't have anything to do with that. I don't know what the fuck you guys are on about, but I didn't even like read it. I just tossed it. But I look for them to come up with some reason why what you're doing is wrong. I would say the key to that would be getting as many like other countries involved in it. So like, when it comes to Europe and the rest of the world use our kind of anonymous connections, and the more of us that do it like together. So you see, this is like a little animal's house here. I think that's a crab, right? But it's one of those meat trays. Awesome.
Now he selected that and put it there, Terrence, and you just moved it.
Yeah, see, that's what we just said. That's what I'm going to get in trouble for. There's some going to come at me and be like, well, that animal was using that piece of plastic he was to build his house, and you came and took it away. Should I go back and give him like a rock or something?
Oh yeah, speaking about that, don't we use like busted up ships and shit and planes and just use them like for artificial coral reefs as a yeah.
It's California. I forget which battleship we sank out there. That is like
that was in Palos Verdes. Yeah, that was a disaster. It didn't even work right. It actually destroyed the coral reef.
Well, that was the
oops.
Coral reef that exists at all. Like it killed everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to coral, I was in Australia earlier. Oh, that's actually something supposed to be there. See, like it's nice to pick up a seashell every once in a while. Yeah, there's like a little pot plant thing. Like all the stuff that I'm picking up, these are all people that should care. Right? So whoever's messing in their garden right now, tell them you want biodegradable.
Well, I can't believe as much stuff as there is out there that they can't. I mean, even regular recycling of plastics. You can pelletize it and shred it and everything, and sell it back as like a base product.
We could go and pick up every little bit of this trash today. Exactly the same. Like as soon as the tide comes in, it washes out from out there. Right? Yeah. There's big patches of it. It's like an endless battle. Once we get some of this machines, we can do something about that.
Yeah, you definitely need to automate it or make it like a riding behind lawnmower or something where you just like skim along the coast, clean it all up, and.
Okay, yeah, I've said this before. We're gonna need 4-wheelers.
Yeah, man.
No, like styrofoam as well. Like guys, we gotta quit using styrofoam.
Well, the solution used to be that brown craft paper, which is definitely biodegradable. That shit it didn't last that long, but they just then all this plastic bags and shit came on, and You used to get stuff in paper and cardboard boxes. Yeah.
You remember they've been trying to like the chip companies have been trying to do that biodegradable plastic, but then like when it comes into reality, like they don't break down.
Well, I mean, it's one
You
of
talking
those
about
again,
little popcorn things?
this plastic, but like it doesn't have to break down. For a lot of stuff, we can reuse it. That's the point of like when it comes the copper out of it or whatever you need out of it, we can turn that into the batch of chip.
Yeah, there's no reason you couldn't just be able to shred what you got that you're picking up and then sell it back by the pound.
Well, there isn't, like, that's the deal. There isn't a huge market for it, and there isn't the machine to do anything with it afterward. So, like, once you can say, hey, we make chairs, right? And not only are people on the island getting the chairs, but then, people in the West that feel like, that want to have chairs that are from ocean plastic made by people in Fiji, right? I think there'd be a market for that. Go down to Pier 1 Imports or something, right? I think that'll change, but at the moment, it's hard to compete with we're trying to fill up these bottles with Fanta again, you know what I mean, or a soft drink, and then besides the people that actually live here on the island, like the actual islanders, this plastic isn't from them. So I mean, even if they quit using plastic altogether, right, all of this plastic is coming in from other places.
Mike could make some great bedpans out of them. Some nice medical equipment.
Hell, anything. What you have to. Well, you would have to do is get it in the form that the plastic rebottlers and the plastic makers will take. Which is, I mean, there's a standard for that, like a standard pelletized PET.
But it's not a U.S. beach. If it was a U.S. beach, it would have beer cans and liquor bottles everywhere.
We do get like
they might
maybe some needles and blunt wraps, but depends on what side of the coast.
Yeah.
What?
I think it'd be either coastline. Huh?
Yeah, really.
You can drink all the kava you want here, but they're not big on the weed. So unfortunately.
Oh, kava's big out. Kava's big out there. I didn't know that.
Well, they're the ones that invented kava. It grows naturally here. It's nice. Like, it's not like weed or anywhere. I think it is like a mild.
It's like getting drunk, kind of.
Kind of like salvia.
You don't feel that kind of effect. I think a lot of the kava is the experience. So like you sit around and talk and joke and play the guitar and drink kava, and that all makes you feel real good. But I don't know if the kava is more, is much more than just like the flavor and being there.
A euphoric lift.
In the way that coffee is a stimulant, you know what I mean?
Aphrodisiac.
But on the range of stimulants, it's real low. It's legal in the States too. For people that are like real anxious or anything, I would recommend, you know what I mean, trying to drink try drinking kava. Okay. You get into somewhere. And hopefully we don't need to.
Oh, my leg.
Across here?
Huh?
Sorry, I got to jump across this thing, and I totally the tide has came in since I left. All right, I'm good. Any comments? Like, I'll answer any questions.
Let me see. One says lick me.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll
work on that.
Don't stop talking. I'm taking a line too.
What?
All right.
Man, we got a big crowd tonight. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 viewers. One doing lines and
Partying on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently,
Well,
somebody's leaking windows.
gotta love our followers. Those are the followers we have.
Let me see what's going on our Russian platform.
Yeah, maybe there's a little sanity over there with the Russians. But this is collusion now. Careful.
Are we colluding to undermine the American political system? Because I'm totally down for that.
Yeah. Well, you're on VKGB now, so watch out.
We have quite a few viewers on VK.
Nice.
All right.
I don't see.
Well,
I don't see anybody talking though.
That's what's going down now. So we're gonna need you guys.
I'm sure some restreamers.
Maybe those are just the old guys in the old KGB office, dusty KGB office, that are listening to our show because it's on VKGB now.
They're all them crazy.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your local policy.
Yeah.
That is required. That should be required, man. That's just...
I don't really like. I imagine that Russians feel the same.
Hey, our channel's big enough on Twitch where we get commercials now.
Ah.
Wow.
Yeah, we have we get commercials on our channel now on Twitch.
We get to pick what our advertisers are.
No, it's something on Netflix. I think it's automated.
Yeah, I don't support any of that. Whatever they're trying to sell you, I do not support what that is.
Nothing. Nobody's talking there. Let's go to YouTube. Let's see what people are saying on YouTube. YouTube.
Nothing.
Yeah, not YouTube.
Anonymous. Streamed to so many places. It's.
Well, that's the deal. I mean, we are all being censored in one way, shape, or form. Our pages are being censored. We're being censored. People don't see our posts, so we have to kind of get out forms as possible.
Are we conservatives?
Somebody's watching on YouTube. I don't think they're talking.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah.
There's something I did want to talk about that was kind of imperative, which Preston brought up to me was that the DHS is now they're going to be implementing this protocol where they're going to be looking at what is it? They're going to be looking at news sites and they're going to be monitoring all this shit.
Yeah. And any media influencer, 290,000, well, that's the number they gave, media influencers. So pretty much everybody that's on YouTube and Facebook that live streams or...
I mean, YouTube has put out, it's really weird, some of the people that they censor for some reason. Because one of the guys that we watch, Demo Ranch,
on YouTube, he's big. Cody's Lab. He's the one kid that made refined uranium from ore on his YouTube channel. Yeah, he really did that. He got a couple million views from that. But he had a couple of episodes where he made a gold bullet, and they now have warnings on that. And I'm like, this kid just does chemistry, dude.
It's weird.
So it took the Spetsnaz dude down too, huh?
But if you would like to put out...
Oh, yeah, FPS Russia? Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Is he?
Oh.
That's because we were talking about him working at the
FPS Russia was a good channel, too. I like that guy.
It was.
Yeah. So it took the Spetsnaz dude down too, huh?
But if you would like to put out...
Oh, yeah, FPS Russia? Yeah, he's gone.
Oh, wait, we got... Yeah, we got quite a few.
That's because we were talking about him working at...
Yeah, sorry, we had
some echo.
VK?
No, on
GB?
YouTube.
Oh, cool. Yeah, mine, it's been up and down. Now, I've never taken any of the monetary, things from YouTube. So, maybe that's kept me out of their sites to some extent. I'm not really sure. It's confusing sometimes to see some of the stuff that they do censor, and I immediately ask, want to know why? Why did you censor that? What's there that we're not supposed to see?
Well,
you know what
after
gets
this
me, though?
lady done the shooting. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, you know what gets me though, Terrence, is like even I could say, okay, you're a leftist, you don't like the right wingers, but then when it comes to like that whole water protector stuff, which is totally a leftist, run endeavor, if you want to call it that, they censor that.
Yeah,
They censor their own people when it comes down to it. When it's just like, oh, it's like natives or for whatever the reason is, probably that's it. But it's just like, wow, okay,
yeah, it
you do
makes
it
you
to
want.
yourself.
In that, I think that the military industrial complex and the deep state are the exact same thing, right? But everyone on the left will acknowledge the military industrial complex and the evils that go along with that, but then will completely ignore the words the deep state, even though we're describing the exact same people.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's the whole like the Jill Stein Bernie Sanders thing, because they agree on everything. Like the voters that are voting for Jill Stein or Bernie, like the only difference between the two is marijuana. The list goes on, and he's pretty socialist on a lot of issues and she has some kind of like right leaning issues really, ideas as well. But the only thing that they really disagree on is the person, and they'll fight like cats and dogs over that and like completely ignore the issues. So we all agree that the NSA is watching us, and that's cool. Yeah, Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein. Why does that fucking matter? Like, our enemies are still the same. Why are we not focusing on our enemies?
Well, you're supposed to watch that your political gladiators battle it out with all these ideas that they have, as if that's going to lead to something. Because they're political cowards, it leads to nothing. But
Yeah, I mean, if those are our gladiators, fuck that. I am Spartan. Everybody, come on. Fuck these guys.
yeah, because it's lame, man. I mean, it's nobody's buying it. You guys didn't earn that 11%, approval rating. You've earned that.
They're good at being evil. You know what I mean? Like, not only are they, is there violence and going on, but y'all are horrible at it as well. Like, it's a complete clusterfuck.
Yeah, that's it. They smile and look at you like they've accomplished something, like they've gotten away with something. It's like, you guys got caught. Don't you get it? Yeah. They just keep lying, keep moving on to the next one.
Yeah. Well, they didn't buy the false flag about the Syrian bombing. Let's try it again in another 3 months. Just watch. At least our government recycles. Like, they're recycling the same old propaganda story over and over.
Yeah, I mean, these false flags, it's like they do the same shit over and over. It's even on anniversary dates. It's like, hey, didn't you guys do this last year? Oh, fuck, you did do it last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is exactly
same
the
day.
Same time this last year.
You're so damn lazy.
Yeah, the same
you just
shit
keep doing the same shit over and over.
Yeah. I think
not even creative anymore.
Yeah, they've lost it. Any creativity. They're just so fucking lazy and corrupt. They just sit there.
Do you think they'll remember from last year if we did the same thing we did the year before? No. They don't remember shit. Just do it again.
No, fired people that did it last year.
It's like they just want to wear you out. So pretty soon, like maybe 50 years down the line, you're just like, okay, yeah. I mean, just do it. We're tired of hearing the propaganda. Just do it now. Fuck.
War with North Korea. Jesus, you guys just aren't gonna be happy until you do it, are you?
Yeah, you crazy motherfuckers. Just
peace. You do it, huh?
Holy shit! It's windy, dude. Like, what the fuck?
Sorry.
Like, my whole
that might have been me.
No, my whole house is like everything. The doors and everything are like opening. I was like, what the fuck?
That's probably that 11.0 earthquake you guys got coming, man.
Oh, dude, we had an earthquake last week.
They want to frack the San Andreas Fault.
Probably.
Sure. We got to set this thing off somehow.
like you're laughing because it sounds like the craziest thing that, like, it just sounds like complete and utter. But no, I am not fucking around. They just passed like the licensing that they needed to frack the San Andreas Fault. That's like not a joke.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow. Well, nice, nice knowing you, Tyler.
Yeah,
Sorry to hear that.
closer a lot quicker than you thought.
You know, they always said Southern California would be like in the. They always said it would be in the ocean. Eventually, maybe sooner than later.
Goodbye, Tijuana.
What are we gonna do with that section of the wall?
What?
Well, when it slides off into the ocean, what are we gonna do with that section of the wall?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
Continue building around it.
Like I've been to like those weird places, those in between zones. Like there's like this weird part of like SoCal where it's called like Tijuana Park, where it's like a natural reserve, but there's not really a border there. But you can cross this like toxic river if you want, but there's a gate like on the other side, but it's still technically Mexico. So I don't know.
Toxic Lake, huh?
Oh, it's a toxic river. Yeah, it's just like got runoff from all the industrial shit from like further up the river.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they'll do with that board. Like I don't know. First, I remember Jerry Brown was saying stuff like he wasn't gonna participate with like Trump and shit with that wall, but then all of a sudden Jerry Brown like gives in and says, okay, well we'll put the National Guard down there and
Yeah, it's a weird.
well, because I think Sessions threatened to take away funding. I think that was the kicker. You know, like hey, like if you don't step in line, like we're gonna take away your funding.
But isn't it supposed to take like 6 years to build?
Well, that's the thing. It's like the guard troops down in California will not be. They will not. He reiterated they will not be building anything, and they will not be enforcing border patrol. In fact, the only thing Jerry Brown wants them to do is to be doing paperwork to free out the patrol agents. That's the only thing he wants them to do. No,
That's what I'm for.
yeah. Now as far as Arizona and New Mexico and Texas, I don't know. I don't know what the National Guard will be doing in that area. All I know is that
Could you imagine like I couldn't like signing up the military to go and fight foreign battles and do whatever you do, and they the fucking
well, it's kind of like fucked up in the sense that it's making Mexican officials nervous that there's a military presence on the border. You know, and I don't disagree with Mexico on that. I mean, I mean, if Mexico had their military on the border, it would make me kind of nervous here on the north side of the wall. So, I mean, it doesn't look good either way how you're stepping up the enforcement of literally what you know.
No, that doesn't look good. But I would warn you know, if the CIA is operating in your country right now, they're not doing anything good. Like at least you can see the military. I would advise kicking all of them out.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I always said, you know, the CIA is always that creepy government administration that's always doing the bad things that you don't think are true, but the more you dig into it, it is true. You know, trafficking drugs, using absurd weaponry, violating international laws.
Like that's the deal. Like maybe we might be off about some of the places or you know who you're doing it, but the bottom line is you are selling drugs and guns to murder people, and that's probably not a good business to be in.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is that the CIA has set up there are other agencies around the world to various governments that do the same thing, and they've kind of fallen. Their version of the CIA has fallen into that role of their branch of the government.
Well, they do that with
Well, you got the Mossad, you got MI5. What is the one that's the Pakistan one? They're
ISI.
ISI. They're pretty hardcore too. Yeah.
we're like, wow, that looked horrible. We should do that. That's not how you oppress people. This is how you oppress people.
I can't tell you like any CIA operation or anything that they've done with any any efficiency that they've done anything right. Like everything that they do is just flat out like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like you give some guys, you give the Mujahideen, you give them you give these other groups weapons to fight your enemies, but then you ask them after they're done, when Congress finds out or the government finds out, you ask them for their weapons back because you guys are in trouble. Like what are you guys doing? Like you guys, I don't think that they really think that they know what they're doing. Like I really think that they should really get rid of some of the intelligence agencies around the world. You know?
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah, because there's no intelligence in them.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the things that they were. You were so like of undermining South American governments because of what communism and then drugs and this and that, and then it turns out that we destabilized all of South America because of it. Same in the Middle East. Everywhere that we play those stupid games, it never comes out to our benefit. The Shah of Iran, like all of our enemies we've created.
Yeah, and there's also debate on that Gaddafi is coming back into the circle, and I wouldn't be surprised if what they would find about that, because Gaddafi's son wants to rise for power, and there's a lot of talk. Even what's his name is talking about it now. Oh, we lost Terrence. Assange is talking about it. It's somehow tied to the French. The French did something before Gaddafi got out of office, and I haven't really dug into it. But what I was seeing was it wasn't good shit.
Well, Sarkozy got arrested and it went back to Gaddafi funding his campaigns years ago, and then they turned around and killed him. But they got Sarkozy for the corruption of the illegal funding, political funding.
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gaddafi's son wants to rebuild Libya. He wants the free healthcare, the free universities back again. Which really doesn't sound like bad shit at all,
No, it's the same thing his dad's working on. But they'll kill him too. They're for the reason they want to destabilize Africa.
Well, because Gaddafi wanted to make a new currency and get off of what do you want, the dinar, right? Is that what he wanted to do? What was it? What do you want?
Boy. Yeah, I don't know.
It was a currency he wanted to establish throughout Africa that was based off of the gold standard. It was backed up by gold, and I don't think a lot of international players like that. Like, hey, you're gonna introduce a real currency that's backed up by something that's not really they can't be fuck with as much because it's actually backed up by something that's like real. They did the same thing. They did the same thing to was it Hussein? He wanted to get off of the. Didn't he want to adopt into the euro instead of the petrodollar?
Yeah, there was multiple things with him. He took over the oil fields, so that was the other one that they weren't going to stand for. But yeah, he wanted to do the same thing, create an oil-based currency of their own, separate from the dollar.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of the dollar, yeah.
Yeah, that's happened several times here. It looks like the BRICS will probably be the ones that do it. Somehow with China and Russia, there's enough clout between just them alone, and the few other countries, Brazil, then and now that one might take off at some point. If they never get together, but the rest of these efforts just not enough behind them. But yeah, they're going to destabilize Africa. They not are. They have.
Yeah. We lost.
And we're not going to hold our politicians accountable for getting rid of Gaddafi or any of this other regime change. That's what gets me is like, regime change isn't really in the international law. In fact, I'm sure it's quite the opposite, where you just, even if you're the United States, you just can't do that.
What was Hillary's response?
But
We came, we saw, he died. Like,
we came, we saw, he died. That was Hillary,
yeah.
Victoria Nuland, and because things are going to be different when the women are in control.
Oh my God.
We're not going to be doing all this killing,
No, that's. I mean, it's not women. It's Hillary. I have a problem with. Like, she's like, wherever she goes, just dead bodies just pile up.
Yeah, when you're above the law. Well, when you're the wife of the bastard son of a Rockefeller, you can get away with that.
Just a little bit of money is all you need.
Yeah, that's all it takes. I mean, if you can ship cocaine into Arkansas as the governor, hell, I mean, what can you do as the president of the United States? Give me a break.
Ship more. Oh, that was rhetorical, right?
50 times more, yeah. At least. Yeah, they're incredible.
So,
but we're so corrupt. I mean, they've taken down the Brazil president. South Korea went after their former president. Who else? Sarkozy went down. Iceland rounds up the bankers. But we here in America, we're so corrupt that we can't do shit. I mean, that's how bad it is.
And it's in our constitution to be armed to take down tyrants, and nobody seems to want to do it.
Yeah, the cops aren't going to do it. The legal system's not going to do it. Congress, they're not going to do it. All these people are cowards. They're not going to do it.
They like to live in that illusion where everything's okay. It's okay. Just drink the juice. Everything's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to find out one day. It's not going to be okay.
Oh, speaking of which, scandals that are going on. So, Trump, you were watching the headlines when Trump's personal attorney was raided by the FBI. And I said, remember Terrence said this too. Like, remember when they got rid of the old director? The old director stepped down the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Jeff Sessions fired him one day before his retirement. I think Terrence said that there's gonna be retaliation, and then the FBI goes after fucking Trump's fucking lawyer.
I mean, what? I mean, is there any professional? There is no professional courtesy there. There's no Third Amendment. Attorney-client privilege. I'm trying to remember which one that falls under, but it's like, yeah. I mean, you just threw away, basic due process. I mean, that's what it's about. It's like essentially the elimination of due process. We come in, we shoot and kill you. Judge, jury, executioner, it's over with. We're done with you. It's just a lot simpler that way.
At first, I was like, "Was this over the Stormy Daniels thing?" I think I mean, like, but no, I'm like, no, this is like a tit for tat. Fuck you.
Well, it could be. I think might do it anyway. But yeah, I mean, think of when you do that. Now it's like, you got all their personal notes. It's like, give me a break, man. At the minimum, what it is opposition research. I mean, that was a ballsy move. You're going to do that on a sitting president? I don't think it's wise.
On the president's
if anybody could come
lawyer.
out, I mean, yeah. I mean, if Trump had balls, I'm not sure that he does, but if Trump has balls, he'll do something about that. Wouldn't you?
I don't know, man. Like it just seems like our since since he's gotten in office, like, it's like a fucking circus. Like, you never
It
know
is.
what's gonna happen. You don't know if like a food fight's gonna break out in fucking you know what I mean? Like, you don't know. Like, it's fucking that crazy.
Yeah, it's a shit show. You know, and all these, you know, all these people think, you know, all these Trump love idiots, you know, they think it's like some kind of 4D chess. You know, it's like, get serious, man. Consider, you know, here's what I tell them. It's like, just entertain the thought that maybe he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
That's what I've been saying for a long
Maybe
time.
he's not that smart. I mean, because, you know, hey, I like to back somebody, and I'd like to support him, but man, I mean, you do some dumb shit, man, and you know, just can't go for it anymore. You know?
He did a lot.
One day we're pulling out of Syria. The next week we're getting ready to start World War III. So what is it? You know, do you stand for anything? I'm having a hard time here, man. I'm telling you.
It was funny too. It was literally 7 days later.
Yeah. What happened? What big happened in between there that we all missed? That and then all of a sudden we're 180 degrees. How do you get there? Because 15 people
We're getting out
died.
of Syria. Remember, we're getting out of Syria real soon. You know,
Yeah.
7 days later, we might have a possible missile strike. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, and how outrageous it is. These 15 people died, or was like, hey, you blew up 200 at a wedding party to get two
Remember
bad
the
guys.
last missile strike?
That was okay.
Remember the last missile strike that they said was a complete success? You know, I was hearing only 30% of them actually hit what they were supposed to, and the other ones just went everywhere.
Oh, they are stormtroopers.
Maybe they're getting jammed. Huh? They don't work as good when they're jammed. I don't know.
Oh my god. It's a fucking shit.
It's just.
It's a fucking.
It's not. My problem with it is, it's not believable. There is no organic resistance. There is no Islamic army that's organic. This is all fake shit. And I'm just getting real tired of watching all this fake shit that doesn't add up to anything.
Yeah, you and me both.
Fake news. It's just all fake, you know. Just like turn it off, man. Hit the reset button. I mean, you guys are out of it. It's not even believable. You can't do a. I mean, if you're going to generate propaganda, do it. You know, come on, do it like Hitler did. You know, get a lot of good flags, a lot of troops. Everybody's in line.
Well,
make it look
Hitler did
good.
a lot. He did those false flag events. Remember when he burned down? Whatever. What did he burn down?
Oh, the Reichstag. Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
Reichstag,
remember
yeah.
when it was found out that they were trying to blame some kid? Some kid did it, but then they found out the kid was like, he was like mentally handicapped and shit.
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, Mark was on. He was like the handicapped guy from the Netherlands or something, wasn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah. Hey, why not? I mean, you're making up the story, so.
He has autism.
He's a bad guy. It's just they don't go out of their way, man. I'm just saying there used to be a lot more trumpets and sharp-looking uniforms and polished boots, and it looked better. You know, if you're going to bullshit me and come up with propaganda, then please make it look better. It's something that I might believe, because it's not working right now. That's my suggestion. If you're going to make us endure this propaganda. Yeah, it's all shameful.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Google. We got Google. I think my last thing on the agenda was more proof that Google has been working hand in hand with our government. Is that they have a program out called Tensor or something like that. Yeah, it's so Google has been programming AI with this new program that goes through the data feeds, and because they record it and log it. But so Google stepped up to the plate. It is now it's basically analyzing all of the video content and highlighting stuff for human review. but some employees are protesting about it. But this is just further proof that Google isn't the company that you can trust. Like
They're
straight
using
up.
people's
Yes.
personalities.
Yeah, straight up selling software for military purposes.
But you can trust them for Google VPN, right?
Yeah, right.
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook VPN, that'd be okay.
Bonavo.
Oh
You all
yeah,
right with that? Yeah.
did you hear about that? There was a truck that said delete Facebook in front of Congress that was parked there, of like a 14-foot
Box truck,
box
yeah,
truck. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it was had the Facebook VPN on there too.
I think the Illuminator has been seen around too doing that as well. You guys know who he is, the Illuminator.
No.
He's been at Million Mass March. He was at Occupy Wall Street. He has a projection machine that he drives around in a minivan with that does different projections on buildings, houses, bridges, causeways, you name it. This guy he'll do it.
That's
He did get it confiscated at one time. I think he was in D.C. at the Million Mass March or on the way to it, and he wound up losing his van with his machine in it.
That's actually pretty smart to like to project movies during a protest. That's actually pretty smart.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's not movies. It's like quotes, like they piss down our backs and tell us it's raining. You know, uh, it makes sense. It's or a picture about something we talk about with Monsanto and plastics.
I gotcha.
Every now and then he will do a little slideshow. He says it's already costing him so much to go around and project that it's hard for him to make his own slides.
I gotcha.
Hey, did you hear part of? And this is what got me. As part of the hearings, I don't know, where it was, in the first days or last days, but there was a point where the senators were asking Zuckerberg if he'd be willing to work with them on legislation that needed to be passed, and they wanted his what do you call it?
Input.
Not replies, but yeah, his input on this, and you could almost see that shit-eating grin on his face. It's just like, you guys would really do that after this cocksucker has done all this bullshit and fucked everybody around. You're going to let him be part of the process. I mean, it's just too much.
He looks too
They're-
artificial. He don't look real, man.
I
He
don't.
looks like Sophia.
he is fake. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I know. Here's the reality of it. Zuckerberg, regardless what it's saying, he is very well aware of what's going on. He's not going to answer to people of authority direct questions, which he knows are his own platform is doing. In essence, like legally, he's the data. Some of the data practices he's doing are are still in the legal realm, but they're I mean, there's not much.
Well,
There's not much.
there's others. There's others that aren't.
Yeah,
That's the problem. And he's trying to have it both ways.
that is
It's
true.
just like, okay, Mark, are you a political forum where you
Yeah,
have
he didn't
your
answer.
rights
Yeah,
to say what you want,
he didn't answer that
or
question.
are
Yeah.
you a fair and balanced platform for everybody? And he can't give you a yes or no answer. He can't tell you that that's what I do. He wants to dance around.
Yeah,
And it's
he said that because Ted Cruz asked him about the First Amendment. Are you a First Amendment platform? Yes or no? And he said that no. He didn't answer yes or no. He just said the things that they will not put on there. They will not put on terrorist videos. They will not do this. They will not do that. And Ted Cruz was saying that like, well, if it's a First Amendment platform, you would be fair and honest and have adult conversations on things of this nature. But Facebook was not directly saying yes or no, but they are what they are saying, what Zuckerberg was saying is that they will not. They're basically no, they're not First Amendment friendly. No, they are a biased platform. They are politically motivated. In fact, they're politically motivated to anybody that Mark Zuckerberg is going to affiliate with, which is the Democratic, which I believe is going to be I would say probably leaning more towards the left. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure. Yeah, but now each way would give you some protections, but you can't have it both ways. So
Can't
you
play
can't
defense forever.
yeah, you can't be the guy that censors based on your political beliefs and then say you have a balanced platform. So which one is it? And the truth is he wants it both ways. That's what Mark Zuckerberg wants. He wants to be able to continue to do what he's doing as the arbiter
like the more I get to know about Facebook's internals and now hearing it from Zuckerberg's fucking mouth, I really don't think that Zuckerberg really kind of knows what he's doing, like in an overall picture. I think he knows that it's like people like me and you guys and in our audience, I know what's going on, but like the average Joe Schmo, I don't think that they actually understand what Facebook is doing.
He's
he
trying
does.
to play dumb.
Yeah.
I believe that he does. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows. In fact, he knows to talk around your questions because he won't get pinned down, and he really wants it both ways. So he's smart enough to do all that, and yet he says he doesn't know all these things are going on. Well, come on.
Well, yeah. The thing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's just he's not, and in that way he's not credible. You can't. That's what a number of senators boxed him in to a point where he had to make a choice, and he wants to sit there and giggle and talk around it and not make a choice. And that's where he's losing credibility. I don't know how many people, if you took a poll, how many people honestly believe what he's saying.
Well, the first red light, to go off is, when he was talking on CNN with the first comment that I've ever seen him respond to is on his own feed was, "Are you going to talk in front of Congress or are you going to address this issue?" And then he goes on to talk to somebody on CNN and says yes he would. Gets on CNN, and then when they ask him, "Are you going to appear in front of Congress to answer to these questions?" and he said, "If I'm the right person for it." And I'm like,
well, no,
I'm like, my
yeah,
head.
no, actually, no, you're not, because you're a typical fake plastic American CEO. Okay, so no, you're not the right guy, but you are the CEO of Facebook. Okay, so you need to be there.
He could have sent what's her name, Miss Sandberg. She used to work for him as a treasurer, treasurer to secretary of treasury, something like that. I think it was before she went to Facebook. So she was working in DC before she even went there herself. So there's more to it than what they say. From what I see.
But they're not getting consistent answers from anybody else that's an executive at Facebook. In fact, they're getting conflicting answers, which is why he's there to allegedly clear that up, which he didn't do.
Well, I don't think there was any legal ramifications that could come out of this congressional hearing. It's just a bash fest, and he knows it. And I mean, this is like, hey, we're just gonna bash you for 10 hours and ask you a series of questions. But as far as any legal ramifications, I don't see it coming other than the FTC investigation. No. And that's the only thing that they can kind of get on him about this whole Cambridge Analytica shit. That's the only thing that they got that's actually going against them as far as legality. The other one is just the whole thing was a shit show,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's plenty there if they want to go after him.
Yeah.
But, like you say, it's a shit show.
Sued.
Wasn't
he was already sued one time, and they learned from the first time when they got sued over sponsor stories not to get caught again. He's shown he can do that.
Yeah, because they're not serious. See, this is these corporate authoritarians like pushing this angle to see what they can get away with. And what did Mark Zuckerberg just find out? That he can do this and get away with it And these chuckleheads that we know as congressmen and women aren't going to do a damn thing about it. It's all just a big joke in the shit show that you just saw.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do feel this is remember how I said there will be the demise of Facebook? I really do feel like this is the starting point where we will start seeing the demise, but really what would really destroy Facebook is destroying them in their pocketbook, which I don't see happening anytime really soon, you know?
Well, not as long as they got things like Instagram,
See, that's the thing
WhatsApp.
is that a lot of people don't know when we say delete Facebook, you know, that Instagram is owned by Facebook, you know, or
Yeah,
WhatsApp.
and
WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. Facebook VPN is owned by Facebook. A lot of those secondary tools are owned by Facebook. You know,
everything you're signing into is probably run by Facebook because you're signing in with Facebook.
well, yeah, you know, yeah, you should always be wary of websites that require you to verify who you are by logging into your Facebook account. You know, is it, you know, are they partnering up with Facebook? Or is they, you know what I mean? It's, I don't know. This is just shit that I think of. You know.
Well, I was reading one article where it said Facebook was tracking you even if you didn't have a Facebook, and the only way to get it to untrack you was to actually log into Facebook, make an account for Facebook, and undo it. How do you undo something if you're
Well,
getting your phone from your phone company and it's already on your phone? You're not agreeing to that contract unless they're saying you're agreeing to it by buying this phone.
well, that's true. They do. They can track you even if you don't have an account. Yeah, if you are looking up for a Facebook page, even if you know through web browser without an account, that data is being tracked. And from what I understand of how the messenger, the Android Messenger application was reaching in further than it should have, to the point where it was actually grabbing call logs and texts, and people were talking who didn't have, or messaging people who didn't have the Facebook application. That was gathering, well, yeah, that's gathering data from somebody
Right.
who's not even on Facebook.
And
So,
never signed your terms of service, and yet you're gathering information on them,
mhm,
and they don't have anything to do with you.
right.
Yeah, then you
Yeah.
have them go in and do the sign the terms of service to make it say, okay, they signed the terms of
And
service
that
agreement
you
anyways.
you remember when Zuckerberg wanted everybody to view the internet through Facebook? You remember that?
Yeah,
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. That's his.
yeah. And I'm like, well, you know, that's, that's not how it should be. Facebook should be a standalone box. That's the way I should see it. And the internet should be something completely separate, not an all-in-one encompassing platform. That's too invasive. That's kind of fucked up, but
Yeah.
that's how he wants it.
Yeah. Especially for the guy that doesn't give a shit about your personal privacy. You really want to get through the internet through him? Do you really want a Facebook VPN?
You
I mean,
remember? Do you remember? When they asked him, in front of Congress, would he disclose, what hotel he was staying at, in front of Congress, and he said no, and they kind of made an example of this is how the data, this is what it's like to have your data taken, which kind of tells me is that he's a schmuck, and that's what he is.
right. Yeah. His privacy is a concern.
Yeah.
Your
yeah.
privacy, he could care less.
Yeah.
So right there, I mean, he's a psychopath, Tyler. Honestly, that's your biggest red flag right there. Two sets of rules.
Yeah.
There's two sets of rules. One for Mark Zuckerberg, another set of rules for everybody else.
Yeah, he's a fucking schmuck.
Yeah.
Well, you got all this stuff already on that server platform. Your photos, your friends, and your families. Of course, you're going to check up your ID or whatever to keep that. I mean,
Well, if Zuckerberg was all into your own data, then he would allow users to monetize their data. Like you know what I mean? Hey, Mark
Yeah.
Zuckerberg's making money off of your fucking shit for ad suggestions. Why can't I monetize my video that you're using and reusing? Why can't I? You know what? Like I'm just saying. There have been other websites that have allowed users to monetize.
Yeah.
In fact, it's actually gotten so well on some platforms that allow you to monetize them, that they haven't, even adopted cryptocurrencies as methods of payments to, well, it's not totally legal, but you can, to avoid all of these, tax issues, but which is kind of a gray area for now.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that
Well,
Face-
Mark Zuckerberg loves Chinese style social media controls, and that's come to America now. That's what
you know
you're
what
getting. It didn't take
actually, Zuckerberg's kind of fucked in a way, because that new law it was signed in. It was the SEPSA, or the PEPSA, the one where you're responsible if solicitation, the web owner is, the company is liable if solicitation of sex, pedophilia, or whatever is found on the platform. The company can be found liable for that. So
No, as long as they're wearing their pants and dressed up with water or whatever.
he
Yeah.
can't argue with a federal law. He can't argue with that if it was signed in as a law.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's enforce it. If we see this going on Facebook one time, you're gone, Mark Zuckerberg. We're done with you. We're tired of your shit. Just
Well,
give
a lot of that's police profiles too.
Even
Has to
Elon
be.
Musk, kind of pointed this out, because Mark Zuckerberg's big on AI protocols, and I'm not. To filter out all through the bullshit, what you need to get is a qualified staff to actually look through all of this content.
That was the other thing that was funny. He talks about this 15 to 20,000 people he has going through everybody's stuff. Your minders over at censorship HQ, but then he turns around and says, "Well, but we're not censoring anybody."
Yes, you.
I
Yes, he
mean,
is.
do you really? Well, you just told us you had an army of people doing it.
That's double talk, double standard.
I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't think he realizes how bad, if you're a thinking person that can critically think, just how bad and how much of a liar he looks like. I don't think he realizes. He's so psychopathic in his authoritarian crap that, he doesn't care, or he doesn't know. He's all wound up in himself.
And those guys, those men and women, are asking him the same question, just in a different manner, and he's telling more and more with each one. If he just stick to yes or no, good to go, man.
Well, I mean, I would have actually. I might have a little. No, I wouldn't have any respect for him. I mean, I just wish that he would just say yes or no and be blunt about it. That would be some respect, to the users, But he's trying to protect what his ass by being a little pussy. That's what he's doing.
No, he's an AI bot set up by them. Gotta be. Did you see the thing with Sophia?
Oh yeah,
That
there's
asked her a
debate.
question.
Actually, there's debate on about Sophia, like whether is because she did get a Saudi citizenship from the Saudi government, but it's debatable on whether that was scripted or not. When she was talking, because
I'm sure it was scripted
I've
beforehand.
seen better. Um, there's a couple places I know that are working on some high end AI bots. I specifically know ones for VR AI bots that are highly advanced, that are much more sophisticated than that Sophia, where they can do critical thinking and and keep on a conversation based on past conversations and actually learning from what you were saying. But I don't buy the Sophia's advance. I think it's a charade like a Disney movie. You know, it's just me though.
Yeah,
But then again, I could be
yeah,
wrong. I
that's
could be wrong though. But that's just me.
It's probably the only one they have in actual working order.
Probably.
Yeah,
I mean, some of those bots, some of those VR chat bots are kind of a little too advanced, if you know what I mean.
I don't know. I'm gonna try building one of these smart mirrors I learned how to build. You can integrate artificial intelligence with it. I'm gonna see what's going on with that. Telling you guys about that earlier.
oh yeah.
Make like a 6 foot tall AI mirror.
It's going to look at you in the mirror. It's going to tell you,
Yeah,
are you gonna have it curved so that it makes you look like
Well,
Humphrey Bogart
some of
or
the more advanced ones, you know, you can actually get into arguments with them, and they'll
oh
respond.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. They
wow,
said AI was the biggest winner in a poker tournament between AI and humans. So
yep. I don't know if that was
I wa-
HP or like an HP IBM collaboration. Yeah, they said it actually beat the world's best poker players.
I watched one turn of Rubik's cube back in the orders, colored orders. It's supposed to be in like 3.5 minutes. That's pretty beast. I was like, wow. It was done with a Droid phone and Legos. That's pretty amazing.
I don't know. The other thing I see that kind of concerns me about like Facebook is you got these people, and I know they've spent a lot of time. A lot of people have lost, million like counts, follower counts, and all this. But there's a real lack of will for people that have bigger accounts to give up on Facebook. And it kind of, to me, it's kind of alarming because it's like, well, what will you put up with? I mean, you see all this censorship going on. They're shaking everybody down, and yet you think that by hiding that you're going to somehow get through this, and that you're never going to get to be part of this. And they don't want to put up a fight. That's the thing. They don't want to like rock the boat, and it's just like, well, you just put up with anything.
Yeah.
The solution seems to be to do nothing. It's just like, no, that can't be, man. You just
I mean, can somebody
but
build
this,
a social media platform that's
yeah,
not a
come
piece of
on.
shit? It's not a piece of shit where it's kind of upfront about what they're doing, and not looking into your stuff and selling your data. Can it be done? Of course it can. But it doesn't seem like anybody wants to stand up to the plate. Well, there are no, that's not true. There are companies that are trying to stand up to the plate, but a lot of them have built shit.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it'd be that hard. It's like, well, you've already got the example of Facebook, so take that, make it even better, and then be a regular, person, not a schmuck CEO, and don't sell their data. It's their platform. It's just like YouTube. It's your stuff. Only don't be like YouTube and come back later and say, no, that's not really your stuff, and we're getting rid of you,
Oh, and
or you're on
then we're
some kind
gonna
of stupid ban or
then
whatever.
we're
You're
gonna
like, shut up,
demonetize
man.
your channels, and people are gonna come to your
Yeah,
place and shoot up everything.
because here's the thing, just like when you were
Yeah.
in grade school, no nobody likes the hall minder or the person that wants to be your minder up in your business. I mean, you guys just need to get, we all you corporate fucks need to get that out of your mind right now, because nobody is going to go for a platform like that. Nobody wants to be on your shit platform. You people suck. Your attitude and your mentality suck.
Well, because of this, the social media giants, since they've switched their policies, they've literally destroyed businesses. That were based on around social media, and this is like a slap in the face. So you give us the opportunity to make a profit off of the platform that you're using, and then you take it back for censorship. Or political agenda. You know,
Right.
I don't get them.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just because they're so They're so wound up in their politics and willing to censor that they will trash their own platform to make a political point. That's how
Yeah.
short-sighted they are.
Well, who is the CEO of YouTube? Who is the CEO? Let me see. I wonder if he was. I
Let's see,
wonder
it
if
was
CEO.
Google. That used to be Schmidt, but I guess he's still over the parent, whatever Alphabet.
Mm,
New part of
Suzanne.
the
Some Polish lady. She has a Polish last name. Well, anyway, Susan, would you like your platform? I mean, would you, if we censor your YouTube channel? I mean, Jesus Christ.
It was funny when they were trying to they pinned them. They said the other way now. Has MoveOn.org had any of their pages removed? You know, is Democracy Now? Have you ever given them a ban? You know, and he was just like, well, I really, I don't know. Well, of course the answer is no, because they're part of the team. They're pushing, you know. But it's just like he doesn't even. That's where he loses credibility. It's like they've pinned him so many ways,
Because he's full of
painted him
shit.
into so many corners.
He wants to
Yeah,
paint this picture that everything's okay. And we're
we're
sorry.
not.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Zuckerberg, but this is action.
Yeah, after thousands of people are getting, you know, restricted and censored, all this, and you want to act like that, and the senators are hearing about it from everybody, you know, and then you want to sit there and act like, no, that's not going on. That's not what we do at Facebook. Come on, he's something else.
I think the biggest pet peeve for me on Facebook is the naming convention. That spells it all. Is that you know Facebook is one of the, I would say, one of the exclusive platforms for social media that requires you to follow a naming convention that is actually your name, and makes you, and if you get reported or they randomly check, they're going to ask you to use a government issued ID or a tax form or something that is legal to you to prove who you are for a social media platform, which is like, what the fuck are they thinking, you know? Like, that's some fucking bullshit, you know?
Yeah, it's all about telling you what to do. They're going to get in your business. We're going to mind your business and be your minder and tell you what to do. He's just, isn't that the overriding theme that keeps coming out in just about everything that he does? He wants to tell you what to say. He's going to tell you what to believe. We're going to check all your comments. We're going to really, you know, we're up in all of your business. It's like, who wants to be around anybody like that? I mean, normally, you know, when you meet people like that, you know, what do you tell them? You tell them to get the fuck away. Get the fuck away from me. You know, be around you.
He's still gonna be
A
that
freak.
He's
You
gonna be
know?
that stupid little freak from fucking Harvard that couldn't get any friends.
Yeah. There's a reason nobody wants to be around you or on your platform now. You're a freak.
I probably told him that.
God.
Sucks.
Well. Oh, hey, we almost forgot the best part. They were sending people out to go to hospitals to try to get to your medical data.
That is true, and
I don't know how we forgot. Yeah, you know, gee, and yeah, he just wants to be up in your business. Now he wants your medical data. See? I mean,
well, they were saying
what-
yeah, I remember they were saying that they wanted to anonymize the data, and there's some legality over that. Here's the deal: is that I know personally you can't legally do that, even if you anonymize the data. There's a federal act called the HIPAA. Well, I'm not going to go into what it stands for because I can barely say it, but you can't do that because of these laws, And if you get caught violating these laws per patient per violation, you're gonna get a $20,000 fine, and they don't fuck around. So you can't just anonymize patients' data to get that data, because medical data is federally protected.
Well, that's what they're trying to go with it with the psychometric data and the biometric data. They're trying to regulate Facebook for all
Well, yeah,
that.
I mean, the only way around it would be if a patient signed a disclosure to release it to a third party. That's completely different. But a patient's medical data, uh, um, even if
They'll
they,
do that with Facebook. They'll slip it in the user terms and agreement when people aren't reading that 7, 12-page long bullcrap he's got going on. And they'll agree to it just to keep Facebook. That's how gullible they are, man. I'm sorry. Well, this is how gullible people are, you know.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, on one end, that is true. On the other side is, you can present a contract like that, but that's an illegal contract. You cannot, just because you might sign your rights away in a contract doesn't mean that you can actually do that. That's against the law. You cannot sign your rights away. So if we were a constitutionally minded country and legal system and so forth, you could make an argument for that. But if you're not constitutional, we just have this corporate run garbage where some jackass like Mark Zuckerberg tells you how things are.
and I don't think he's really aware of the law.
And
I don't think if he was really aware of the laws, then he would have been on this FTC, because he knows the FTC is going to get him. I really,
I just
I
there's
think
so
he
many
knows.
ways to go after this guy. He's doing so many things wrong. You know, you just can't do that. You just can't. Does he get it? It's like, Mark, you just can't discriminate against certain people because you don't like them. You can come up with excuses all day long, but you just can't do that. As a rabid leftist, you just can't censor right wing thinking people because you don't like them, and then use your
But it's my
company.
platform, and I can do what I want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's like, hey, look, I own rental properties. I can't just do whatever I want there. I can't just discriminate against people because of their color. If I wrote up a contract like that, you could take me to court. I mean, you cannot do that. That's what he doesn't seem to understand. So go after him, Congress. You ball as fucks. Do something for the people. You know, do what you're supposed to. It's not that hard. Try to be legal, lawful, and constitutional, if that's even on your mind
I
anymore.
don't think it is. I think, like, how much more money can I get out of this kid before I have to do
Yeah. How much can I squeeze Mark for? Whatever. I know. Yeah, you guys think it's just so pathetic.
Do you remember back in the day when Facebook used to get a Facebook email address affiliated with the
Oh, hmm.
yeah, back in the day, like when Facebook was in its pre days, you were able to get a Facebook email address, and then they phased those out. I'm wondering how much other data they had captured because of that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, he's like that other article I had, that Pete Santilli, showing that Facebook gives raw data to the government that is not part of a warrant.
Yeah, that's true.
That is not specified in warrants. They give them bulk data that they can go through and sift through selectively. So yeah, hey, come on, Mark. How many ways do you want even a novice like me to hammer your ass? Okay, I could come up with that many ways, at least 5, and I'm not that smart. So good luck, man. You deserve to go down. All I can say, hey, if your platform crashes, oh well. That's about all I'm going to say. Like, it could have been something great, but
I would laugh.
what can you?
I would laugh if you became like an
Yeah,
alcoholic and like lost
yeah.
everything.
See him crying on Skid Row. Be like, what is that? Like some of those rappers, like MC Hammer or some of them, that were all the way at the top and they like lost everything, all these
He's like,
millions of dollars.
He's like,
It's just like,
I
yeah,
lost 50 billion. Like what?
yeah, man, I treated everybody like shit. I don't know what the problem is. How come nobody likes me?
Oh, like that CEO of that pharmaceutical company that was jacking up the prices, like that guy. How he thought
Yeah,
how he was telling people after he jacked up that if they emailed him, he would give away the medication. So, like he said, he said he was jacking up the prices to get back at the pharmaceutical companies, and I'm like, man, like you're disturbed if you think like that, like you really think you could answer to fucking 50 million emails, like people that need your medication? Like, you were fucked up. Hmm. But a lot of these people, a lot of these big cats, like they're so disassociated from their own customer base. That's how he is.
yeah. Well, he already told you you're a dumb fucker, so that's what he thought of you years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what he thinks of you now. I mean, we're probably like real pissants. Yeah.
I'll show them. I'll show them. We'll build more tools. AI. Nobody can say the word at, and they'll like it, and they'll
Yeah,
hate it.
hashtag delete Facebook is going to go down the
Yeah.
memory hole. You can't type that in. It'll just, it won't register. It won't print out.
That would be
What else
that
can
would
you
be
do? Why
funny.
not?
I mean, that would be funny. Like if the guy that they have that has the admin access to say what you can and can't say, and just puts everything in the language that you can't say for like an hour, and everybody's votes are censored. Oh, that'd be funny as fuck.
Well, he couldn't. What's funny? That one senator asked him to explain what terms of service define what hate speech is.
He did.
I mean, boy, if he really danced on that one, man,
I
he's
you
just
know
like,
what? Yeah, I don't think that.
I just-
I really don't think that. I honestly don't think that Zuckerberg knew the definition to that. I think that's why he danced around it. That was kind of hilarious. That kind of put his intelligence.
Yeah.
That kind of leveled out his intelligence. I'm like, man, you might be smart at computers, but I don't think he's actually that smart. I really don't. But
No, he's not.
yeah, he bought all
He's
that
not.
shit from somebody else.
Yeah, he doesn't stand. He doesn't come across a number of things. He doesn't come across as a really sharp executive, especially when he seems to be admitting that he doesn't know what's going on in his company. All these things are going on, but he doesn't know. Yet he's in charge. Okay, so once again, okay, well, what is it? You can't have it both ways. Are you in charge or not? So that's one side of it. He doesn't seem to understand the legal aspects of some of the things he says. It's like when they pin him down, it's just like, well, are you a free speech person, or is it a free and fair platform? He just wants to dance around. Once again, it's just like he either doesn't know or he wants to play this game. But in either case, you're not coming across as credible. So he's got another problem. By the end of it all, he looks like a fool. You look like a liar, a fool, which you are. You're a fake plastic American corporate CEO. You're perfect for the job. What they want you to do. Goldman Sachs, Madison Avenue puppet. Good job.
Yeah, I don't think. I think that anybody who's on the Facebook platform, like, I mean, if your money's invested in it, like, and your business model is revolving around Facebook, then maybe you should rethink how your business model works after this shit. Like, just take a good, just take a good,
maybe hint, wink, wink.
yeah. You should really take a look and because I understand, I completely understand because I've been involved in this into social media, social media advertising, and it's a really big industry, but maybe a lot of the platforms that you're utilizing should be extremely reevaluated. I would hope.
That is true. I mean, I figure someday they're gonna, all of us, we're gonna get kicked off. Just one day, they're
dude,
just gonna, they're gonna be tired of you talking on the program.
Our page is already censored as shit. Like, people aren't seeing our shit, so.
Yeah. So I mean, if they do, so what? I'm all but gone anyway. For me, it's just like, okay, I can talk to all these friends. I got their names. I could call them up on the phone. You remember that? We have phones with phone numbers, and we could reach people even with email. Man, I mean, email, that's old technology, but I mean, I could send them an email. I don't have to use fucking Facebook to send them a comment or send some fucking text.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow on the market, and then I think Monday will be the kicker. Once all of it, Bloomberg was already trash talking Zuckerberg, and when Bloomberg says some shit, those stocks usually fall. But I think that this is just my prediction for Monday. But I think on Monday you'll start seeing some negative growth. You're growing down, bitch.
Yeah. Well, he already had a problem. I mean, they weren't growing that much anyway from where they're at.
You know me, I'm pretty
spot versus, on. Their valuations and how much they bring in. I mean, it really isn't that great a stock.
No.
As far as the kind of return. I mean, if you're trying, to work it for some play in the stock, leverage play there, well, that's one thing. But I mean, if you're actually looking for a stock that's going to yield some dividend, or it looks like it, it has some earnings growth, you're dreaming, man. Not after this. So yeah, there's going to be a reevaluation. There should be.
Yeah, your quarterly reports will. Oh yeah, quarterly reports are coming up. Second quarter on the 15th. You're fucked, suck.
Oh.
17th. My bad. Yeah, he's fucked. Maybe my prediction was right. I'm usually spot on about my predictions on stocks.
Well, damn, some of these companies do it themselves. I mean, this is one of them where you don't have to be an analyst to figure out how screwed up this is.
Oh shit!
This is like, it's like some really bad PR, Mark. I mean, you might want to, do something about this.
Okay. Well, shit. We only have like an hour. No, like we have a minute and a half.
Minute and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we made it.
I'd just like to thank our viewers, for the viewers that we do have. It's much appreciated. We will be back next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. For Facebook viewers, we had a low turnout, but I can't help the censorship that has been done to our page. So you can check us out on any of those links, and we now are back on YouTube. If YouTube is your second to go to, you can also find us on VK at Anonymous, VK, Periscope, Twitch, and Twitter. You can also watch us there. And we'll roll out with the outro, and we'll be back next week.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
I hereby declare that.
Where's Micro? Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, it's like last time. He makes about 3 hours, whatever. It's almost like it's timed. because it's roughly the same time every time. Yeah, something's going on there. Well, he says he can't seem to rejoin. Oh boy, okay.